Are we ready?
Yeah, we're all set. We're recording. We're good to go.
All right. And we'll call the meeting to order. Review the agenda for additional removal or adjustments of any items.
None this evening.
None this evening. Public forum, opportunity for citizens not on the agenda. Just briefly share their concerns, comments, or concerns.
Why, Jimmy's not here.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
Department head roundtable. Clerk treasurer. Sharon.
Okay. Well, we can start with a quick report on delinquent taxes. For this year's delinquent taxes, we've dropped from 337,810 to 179,663. So we collected almost half of what is owed
Just for this year.
just for this year. For total, for all the years, we're at 35%. We're down to 314,000 overall. Last year's taxes, we collected about 20%. And the previous years before that is the tax sales, most of them, there's a few little ones in there. And they're getting ready to send the letters out to the tax sale people to offer them a payment plan. Some of them already have one and they haven't complied with it, but with the new rules, apparently we gotta do it again. So, and I did actually.
Bureaucracy. I said bureaucracy.
They raised it. So that's moving along. Then I know a couple of them, I think there's a couple houses that are up for sale that are behind as well. So we've collected a couple of those, and the farm up on North 116 has paid a good chunk of his back taxes, half of them. So he's coming in, because his bank called us to make sure he was coming in.
Is that the one up my way? The one that I think the Hills are doing his fields?
Randy?
Randy.
Yeah, so, so there's an update on that. We have the new election software, still called Vermont Election Management, and they just got it up and running last week. We've got to go in and we were able to put our usernames and stuff in, but now we got to go in and do the next step. And this year is an odd year, so we've got to do a purge of our checklist. So one of the things on my target is to purge our checklist. And see, do you have anything else new? So we've gone through most of all your questions on the budget.
Yeah.
Some of them, we know what they are. Some of them, there's a couple corrections that we've got to make, but
Okay.
we found what was there. Some of them, we don't know why. Some of them that were missing budget numbers actually had budget numbers, so somewhere in the transition,
It didn't
the
get them.
combined numbers, they got dropped off. So,
So
Okay.
we should be able to.
anything?
Oh, yeah, what else do I got? So reconciliation of the cash account and the credit card account are up to date.
Woohoo!
With those from last week.
First time in 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit of, and the audit, they sent us a whole pile of journal entries to do, and those are all done. Started digging into the revolving loan fund. Quick update on that, I've got we've got one person who has 2 loans out that is still in default. We all know who it is, probably never gonna see it. The other 3 are paying, and by next meeting, I should have an actual balance on all those, so I'll make a payment since then.
So you have somebody that's in default on 2 loans?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe he's any longer in town.
No.
No.
Yeah, and insurance, as he works mostly on budget cleanup, and a lot of the cleanup is due to the transition over.
Table.
So just like accounts that got merged, didn't need to be broken apart or just cleaned up, so that's been most of the day today, and probably most of the day tomorrow, so. What should be done by tomorrow?
And the only other thing, I don't know if, the draft of the audit was sent to you guys, but, okay. I didn't know if Ian had pushed it forward.
Not yet, I don't think. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've seen the new letters for the next upcoming year and contract.
I mean, the management letter has stuff on there that we expected just because of stuff not being done over the last 2-3 years, so. We got an email today asking, if we'd had a chance to review it, where we were at, so.
And I
I were to
worked,
check with Ian and see what,
I worked with Darlene last Friday, we went over a lot of the audit. Nothing in there scared her, so there's nothing earth shattering like, oh dear God, you're in trouble. The biggest thing we need to address, and she talked about it a lot, we have all the old funds that are sitting out there with
Yeah.
balances. Most of them are owed money out of the general fund. They got overspent, and just to clean up, I think there's a dozen of them that we really should clean up. It's about $200,000 worth of just money hanging out there that just needs to be cleared up. So we'll have a list of those for you.
Okay, so wait a minute, you said it's owed by the general fund?
yeah, there's only a handful that might have
What they're-
money in it,
what they-
revenue, but most of them are deficits.
Yeah, most of them were overspent.
Oh, man. Mm.
But
So how, I guess, I know I asked this question before and I don't remember if I understood the answer, but if they're overspent and we have to clear them up, it means the money has to come out of the general fund.
Yep,
Correct,
Haven't the bills already been paid?
yep.
yep,
So
So how
hasn't
does
the
it
money
coming out of the-
already come out of the general fund? It just hasn't been,
Correct. In order to move those monies, because we're gonna close the funds, these are funds, they're not accounts.
yeah.
You have to authorize it. So, yeah, it's purely paperwork. It's moving inside of memory.
So there's not really money coming out technically, it's just reallocating it to the right place.
Correct. It's basically
Okay.
cleaning up the check.
So we're not paying it twice, Speaker, which is
Yeah.
what it sounded like. I
yeah,
was like,
well,
wait a
that's
minute.
what, yeah, I mean,
What'll drop is your fund balance will drop, not your checking account.
okay.
Does that help?
Yes, that helps a lot.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it. It's been busy.
Alright. Frida, you are up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Lots going on for grants and lots of good news for grants. So have submitted successfully our closing items for 2023 FEMA event. So that's the Cat Z administrative cost for that. Waiting for FEMA to accept and acknowledge and obligate that. It's just shy of $5,000 that will be coming to the town, and once that's done, that whole event can be closed out, which is great news. We have found some funds for the Basin Street project, which is, in my opinion, very good news. So that is coming from AOT Structures, and we just took out one element of that project to apply those funds to, and that's the retaining walls. I think you might remember that grant summary sheet from a month ago or so. And so it looks like that's going to be approved for this year, so we're waiting on the state to offer us a grant agreement. That's great news. And we have 2 site visits this month for 2 of our grants. So we have a monitoring visit for the COPS hiring grant at the end of June. And we have a site visit for the LWCF funds that we applied for the skate park project, I believe on the 18th of June. So I'll be there for both of those just to support and to follow along, make sure we're in compliance, and that we're clear on what all the rules and expectations are for those funds. Both of those are good news. And I think we're going to be looking at funds for water line project. I know that's a much bigger discussion, but it looks like it's coming into the grant realm soon, if not already. So we're going to be looking at some big funds for that, hopefully.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Recreation, Meredith.
All right, so a few great things that are happening. First off, swim. So our swim program is from July 7th to August 8th. And how that works is we're offering levels 1 through 5 swim lessons 3 times in the morning, and there's only a few spots left open for that. And with that, we added a baby and me in June for the week of the 23rd. So that's filling up quite a bit. And we're also providing private lessons during that week. And on top of that, we're training our swim staff on Monday, the 23rd. And our swim staff is pretty healthy. It's probably the best staff we've had since we've taken over the swim program from Mount Abe. So the swim program is amazing. Our camps are all full except a few spots in the roller derby clinic in July and session 2 and 3 of the clay camp in the summer. And then for events, townwide yard sale, that's moving along pretty good. That's on the 21st. Every day we are having people register their addresses or they're paying the $20 to be on the town green. So that's exciting. And then we've got our teddy bear picnic on July 25th in the park at 12 o'clock. And that's always a great fun event. We've got 23 meals from the summer meal program provided by Kathy Alexander. So that's exciting. And then as for parks and the highlights of parks, Aiden's gonna talk to you guys about that later on in the select board meeting. But the rec department's crushing it.
Good, thank you. Aiden, anything to add?
No, not on that end.
Okay. AZ, you're up. AZ, there you are.
Hello. Sorry, I was not allowed permission to unmute myself.
Sorry about that, AZ.
That's Ian wielding his power.
Things in the zoning world are fun as always. I attended the spring planning and zoning forum and gained a lot of insight on upcoming legislative movements and the new zoning administrator handbook, which has been 20 years in the making. So it's really great to have a updated version. Some exciting news to report. I have a preliminary website up for the GIS mapping. And I thought I could share my screen and kind of give just like a little view of what's been going on in the background.
Sure.
Because I think it's very cool.
Mhm.
So this is a very preliminary version of the TownView program. This the zoning districts need to be updated. A lot of this data is still just pulled from what the state had. And I'm working with CTI right now to get uploads of surveys. But we have here Bristol with all the zoning districts. You can toggle that off. You can toggle off the pictures and just have it be a kind of contour topographic map. But very exciting. Still a lot of work to be done in terms of surveys and getting updated lot lines in. As you can see, J Drive is still not properly mapped, but this is still a preliminary work. But very exciting progress being made here. That's my biggest thing to share. Positive things. Things are getting busy with summer. I'm working on putting together a lot of like FAQs and information for landowners and applicants so that they can understand the zoning processes and things just work smoother.
Awesome. Any questions for AZ?
Thanks, Daisy. Looks good.
All right, moving on, consent agenda, sorry. Special event street use closure permit for Pocock Rocks, special event and street use closure for the 4th of July, or for the July 4th 5K. Grand list extension request for the officer of the listers, banner application for West Street for the July 4th committee. Hewitt Road Land Use Agreement Review, approval of 2025 audit agreement, request to name a private road off of Briggs Hill, Alexander Lane for improved E911 location.
I'll make a motion to approve, but then I have questions.
Second. So I have a motion and a second. Questions?
Okay, the approval of the 2025 audit agreement, okay, there were two agreements in there that I could see. One is for an asset list, is that right? And then one is for the audit. So the asset list is $150 an hour with a minimum of 5 hours. Don't they already have our asset list done? And isn't it just updated every year?
It is, but that's the problem, that's the update they need to do,
It's gonna take them a minimum of 5 hours?
probably.
Really? Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
it's a little bit that both of those contracts are a little bit more than they were last year. Last year's were like 19,000 and something and 650, so it's bumped up a little bit.
yeah, to like 22, whatever, but, on the other one, the audit itself, you know, when I was reading through it, and believe me, it was boring reading. I didn't see like a deadline for them to have it done by. I mean, I would think if we have a contract with them, they should have a deadline to have it done. And if they miss that deadline, then shouldn't they be penalized? I mean, we're still waiting for 23,
No, 24.
23, 24 should be in the month.
right? But isn't that like behind? Like, shouldn't we have had it already?
Yes, the
23.
the 24 definitely.
I mean, that's just my opinion. It's
Sure.
like, we should get a credit and,
But unfortunately, there's a lot of towns that are in the same boat we are.
Just because they're in the same boat doesn't make it right.
Don't mean you
Oh, I
have to all
know
drown
that.
together.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to look for an auditing firm.
unfortunately, there
We
aren't that
can,
many.
we can definitely
Put
send
it
that
out.
back and ask for,
Don't Dustin.
This is the one from New Hampshire, right?
Maine.
Maine.
This is for Maine.
A lot of auditors aren't doing municipalities anymore.
So you're saying they got us by the.
Yeah.
I was just like, can't we just give them a deadline and say, if you miss the deadline, I don't know what that deadline would be, I mean,
Well, if
how,
we have to sign their contract, it doesn't,
Isn't it-
we ought to be able to have something,
Input.
some input into it.
I mean, what we can do is we can ask them and say, can you put a tentative deadline for delivery in this contract? And we can see what that is going to be and see if we like that. And then maybe that's a way forward, as opposed to saying, setting us a deadline. I don't know what that would be, but at least we could talk to them about that.
I mean, realistically, what should it take them? Like, if they're doing 24 right now,
20, we haven't seen 23s yet.
Correct. We have, so the 23, as Chris had mentioned, I haven't shared that with the select board because I wanted to sit with Sharon and Chris, and also Chris and Sharon wanted to talk with Nemrick too, to just go through it. We're going to present it. Chris is going to present, I believe, next week or the following select board meeting. So we just wanted to get sort of an internal review of it to start with, and then sort of bring it to the board and explain it and let everyone know what's going on with it.
okay, so they're working on
So that's the
24.
23.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say that's the 23, and as Chris said, 24 is maybe a couple weeks out. I mean, 24 is very behind, but we've never
Well,
really
I think
received.
23 is very behind.
Oh yes,
Well,
absolutely, yes, and they know that, and we know that. The 25, because in these agreements, especially from the latest company that we use, we've never really received, like you asked for, a deadline for it. It's kind of hard for us to sort of gauge, but I do think it's something we could broach with them and say, hey, can you put this in this agreement? Like, we're signing this, it's $22,000. Can you give us some idea of when it might be completed?
And
and
they're
it's-
expecting an upfront payment.
yes,
Didn't I read that? Like 50% or whatever it was?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a very one-sided
No,
contract.
well, of
Yeah.
course it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
and obviously we, as Chris and Sharon said, we don't. It's difficult to find people to do this, and we don't want to lose this opportunity of working with them. We've worked with them for the last three years, I believe, or maybe it's 4 years now. And so, but I don't think asking for a deadline is too much to ask.
right. I mean, it can be realistic, even if it's like 6 months,
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so we
We're
have an
not-
idea
right.
when we're gonna get it, so we're not wondering where we're at.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and the E911, they're already out there, they are, and I don't know if AZ is still on, But are they
Yep.
renaming this because the third house is on this property now or on this road?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I can explain a little bit more about this. I got a request for a third address, and I saw that there's already 2 properties on this driveway, and so I reached out to my contact at the state E91 board, which is the email there, and I just asked for his opinions on how to address it, if it should be a third address on Briggs Hill, or if it should be a new private road, and the option that was the safest and most aligned with E91 addressing standards was a new private road.
Yeah,
But it's more of a private drive.
yep, yeah,
Yeah, well, the rule is anything over 2, right? Or 2 or
they
over.
had, the third one third one creates a new road name.
The standard is usually based off developable parcels. This is all on one parcel, hence why I went to the state for advice. Because it's all pretty much located on one parcel. But since there's 3 addresses off a main road, with 2 of those addresses being pretty far off the main road, I wanted to make sure that our emergency services are able to access these folks safely.
Okay, thank you.
And I just had a question on that, and Cecil's here from the 4th of July committee. Is that the banner that, obviously, that celebrates the 4th of July, but is that the one with the advertising on it or no? This one?
This is another one.
This is another one.
So we got the 1 or 2 over Main Street?
You got the original one, Vermont Construction, between the Bobcat and Covers.
Yeah.
And last year, we added Jackson's down between Snaps and
Yeah.
Dunshee Block. We've had, somebody approached us about wanting to do another one. Just so you know, this is the final one. Okay, there's no
So
more.
they come up next year and want more,
No,
give you more
I can't.
money.
I can't. The reason why, I'll tell you, I've got a lot of time invested in this. I spent a half an hour trying to find a place to put it. Okay, you can't put it.
Well, that's why I'm gonna ask.
All right?
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, couldn't put it on the Main Street block, because you couldn't read it, it'd be bang, 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 you couldn't see them individually. Between Airport Drive and the end of East Street is pitching down to Lois Bear Rock, there's no place that I could find. So I got Peter involved, he's got a little bit more experience in this, unfortunately, which made my job even harder, because he was aware of the fact of the regulations Green Mountain Power's got between distancing between the primary lines up top and the neutral lines and then the communication lines. So the only place between Airport Drive and top of East Street is my house and the guy, what was Alan Fleming's tenement that Rock was owned for years and sold it to, I think it's Davenport's the guy's name. He's given permission for us to put it. So I had Green Mountain Power come out and they said, nope, can't do it. So I cried and they said, all right, let's look and see what we can do here. And they called me back and they went through the energy of raising the lines up. So now we can be in code with them.
Well, what about the one where the high school puts?
The high school used to put right over
Right here,
here.
post office.
Flags
By the
there.
phone. Huh?
Flags there.
Flags there.
Flags there.
Oh, that's right.
So we can't put one there.
Is that why the school put theirs down by their entrance? Cause they didn't put it up this year, it's down by the school entrance.
I think,
I saw it,
I think that they had problems with their banner last year. And, so I think it takes a beat up there. So this is the last place that we can put one, Joel. Can't put another one between airport and over there. And it's $2,000 that we can not have to come to the taxpayers for.
Okay.
And I've talked to them, the company will remain unnamed at the moment, but it's a design build company. And I explained to them the same thing that Jackman's did, that it's gotta be at least 50%, 50-50 between the company name and the sponsorship. They're gonna sponsor the entertainment of it.
Tell me better if it was 70-30.
So question for Cecil, are GMP putting in the wire?
Something, what was that?
The wire,
What about it?
who's putting in the wire?
We are. And it's a temporary wire. It's Randy's gonna put it up and Randy's gonna take it down.
Okay.
What's it hitching to on your side?
I'm sorry?
What is it hitching to on your side? Tree?
I I just had a
Maybe half an hour
clarification
using that truck,
question
we get billed for it.
on the
Gotta stop this.
special event street use and closure permit. It just says July 4th, 5K. I'm assuming the parade is included in that as well.
The only thing, it is, because the only thing in your letter was the race for the Stampede.
Correct. That's the only thing for that particular application. We would need another application from the July 4th committee in order to do the parade.
Did you know that?
Have we given you one in the past?
Yeah,
We have, huh?
I believe so.
What's
We've
that?
always done one, and I think it's mostly been a verbal thing at meetings. I have created a form since I had 3 of these come in at once. And so essentially we didn't have a form before. It was just really an email. So we can pass along the form to the July 4th committee and they can fill it in and then we have an official record of it. But the one for tonight is just the 5K race that Benita has filled out.
Meredith, is that something you can take care of? She's still there?
Yep, she's still there.
I'm still here. I only have the permitting for the town green.
Well, I think
That's
he was
fine.
asking because you're on the committee.
Fill it out.
Yeah, I'm
Did
on
you
the
fill it
committee,
out?
but I just made sure that the town green was reserved for the 4th of July.
Send it to me and
Okay. It's a fairly easy form to fill out. We just needed a way to be able to capture that information instead of just having it through emails. I should have done that to you. I apologize, Cecil.
no worries. As long as you sign
You'll
it.
get your hand slapped later, Ian.
But everything else is pretty much standard. We have Bristol Core asking for road closure for Pocock Rocks, and I don't know. I think Courtney is on this evening. Co-host. Courtney, do you have anything? It looks like the time is different for this year.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hello there.
Difference this year is that we're shifting forward 1 hour. And we're doing that because the event previously used to be in June, but now we've moved to like the date of the first Saturday in August. And with that, the sun is setting a little bit earlier. So we were in the dark last year for cleanup. So in order, for everyone to be safe and enjoy as much as possible, we're shifting from the previous hours were 3 to 8, and now we're going to be 2 to 7.
Okay.
And that,
The application.
that gives you setup and cleanup time, because is that just the event time?
That's just the event time, but the application that we filled out with Ian, it shows what we're expecting for cleanup and breakdown. It's 1 hour after the event we have for breakdown, and then 2 hours before the event for road closure and setup.
So noon to 8.
Noon to 8 for the street closure.
Okay. And the only thing that's happened in the past, and I don't know if it was an issue last year, but in the past, I know the bands have wanted to keep playing, and then the street they don't get picked up in time to open the street when we told people it's gonna be open back up. So you just wanna be aware of the fact that, 8 o'clock is when,
8 o'clock, they need to be done.
8 o'clock, they've gotta be out of the street.
It's a hard.
It's 7
Yep.
now.
As a stage performance manager, it's a hard 8. We make sure over the last few years that it's a hard 8.
Okay.
It's sometimes, I'm down in one end, trying to pack up one stage, calling Randy, make sure that each stage in front of the tavern is moved, so we can start flushing out
Yep.
vendors, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just,
It's critical to have the street.
If you're good. I believe you're good. I don't.
Yes.
Is that what you were here for, the banner? Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Cecil.
We haven't voted yet, but I believe you're good. I don't think you need to stay.
No.
Unless-
We'll call you with bad news later. We don't want you here when you get it.
Unless they ran over time last year, which I wasn't aware of. There's
No.
never been a time when we have run over the 9 o'clock deadline of opening the street. It's always been open at 9 o'clock.
I beg to differ.
Yeah. I think.
You are mistaken.
The first couple of years, because
Okay,
it was
then-
my trailer that was across the road and.
That's a different era of
Yeah.
Yeah.
management, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm
this
just-
is,
Sure, historically, yes.
Yeah.
Let me preface that by saying when I was running core, we never ran over.
Oh, that was the worst.
Oh my God.
Well, break your
No,
arm, pat
we,
yourself on the back there, boy.
So, all right, so we're good with any questions for Pocock?
Mhm.
No. Any questions for the 5K?
Nope.
Grand list extension for the Lister's office, we did not cover. Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
The banner for West Street we covered. Hewitt Road land agreement.
That was
No
the one that
issues.
was sent out to us
Yep.
between the
Yep.
farmer.
Yep.
Everybody's
fine
good with
with it.
that?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. And a request for the private road off of.
Yep.
Okay, so all those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Boy, we are right on time.
Regular business, hazard mitigation plan draft for 2025 LEMP draft review for approval.
Michael.
We
All
have
right.
Stephanie
And
and
Michael,
Michael.
come
All
on
right.
up.
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us. And thanks, Mike, for being there in person.
Just move it. I was gonna say, you could just move his hat.
So we have two documents here to look at. Stephanie's been
Wait a
working
minute,
on.
Ian, wait a minute.
Okay.
Are you good? Joel, are you good?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Ian.
All right. So we have two documents that we're working on. Stephanie's been working on the local hazard mitigation plan. We submitted a state. We got some feedback from the state, and then Stephanie's been working on the revised version of that in combination with myself and Michael and the committee that was working on this. And this has been going on for the last few years. We have a grant that's supporting this. And then Mike has worked on the local, I gotta remind myself what it is now. The LEMP.
LEMP, Local Emergency Management
sort of,
Plan.
Thank you. Sort of the contact list and the details detailing. So there are two different documents that we're going to talk about tonight. I don't know. Stephanie, would you prefer to go first?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephanie Magnan. I believe I was there a couple of years to present the update when Valerie was still there. So like Ian was saying, we've been working on this plan. We did submit it to Vermont Emergency Management, and they had some feedback because FEMA has some new requirements. So we need some modifications. And we submitted the updated draft a few weeks ago. So if you want me to go into any kind of detail on some of the actions that were identified, or
Was there like major changes?
No, they just have these new requirements. A lot of it was making sure outreach was included. In the past, plans were okay so there's a long list of hazards that can be included. It's based on the state hazard mitigation plan. And typically, the way it's been done in the past is a town will pick, say, a top 5 and then elaborate on that and then identify some work items that the town would like to work on in the next 5 years. This new plan requirements is you actually have to document all of the hazards and kind of put some documentation as to why the town is not going to address those particular hazards. For instance, something like hail and earthquake.
I'm not gonna say we don't ever get those, because I'll jinx us. We do get hail.
We can leave out volcanoes, safe to say. But yeah, they want you to catalog them all as almost a thought exercise. Have you considered these? And then sort of either a fork in the road of, are you taking steps to mitigate the hazard and sort of address it on any number of levels? Or are you choosing not to do that? And if so, why? Right? To justify kind of that approach. So we can't come back later and ask them for $1 million in recovery funds and they'd be like, well, wait a second, did you even think about this hazard? And what did you do about it?
We sent Mother Nature a letter and asked her to
Correct.
please spare
Yes.
us.
Spare us any earthquake.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
so I didn't
Stephanie
even
said-
mention anything these days just because, I mean, I think, what was it, a few weeks ago, there was a hail event over in your area?
Over in Essex got hit.
There was PSAS hail here.
Yeah.
I saw PSAS hail right in town.
Yeah, I didn't get any up our way. But where did
Yeah.
I see they had these like
Golf ball.
baseball
I think
signs
it's
saying
Shaw-
hail, and I'm
Yeah,
going,
they had some
whoa.
there. So we're waiting the final feedback and approval from VEM, from State Emergency Management, basically, is where this plan sits right now. So odds are good, they acknowledge receipt, so odds are good they'll make it through the next pass here, the final pass.
Yeah. And then something to mention is the grant ends in September, so Vermont Emergency Management is very anxious to get quite a few of these passed and approved in the next few months.
So it'll come back to us for approval?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they treat it, if they require a final ratification once it's approved by VEM, or how that's gone in the past. I honestly don't know. Stephanie, do you know the?
Sure. So the way the process works is VEM does a preliminary approval, and then the board will adopt the plan. And then once we have that signature, we bundle it all up and send it to FEMA, and then we get the formal approval.
Okay. So it'll come back to us.
If there's still someone to send it to at FEMA by the time we get to that part.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're in really good shape with it. Thank you for all your work on that, Stephanie.
Both of you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
So then we can turn to the local emergency management plan. So this one's slightly more of a housekeeping exercise, right? So every year is the preferred cadence of it. There's a sort of re-upping of the core local emergency management plan. VEM occasionally modifies the requirements for what shall be in that plan, but it has sort of a set of core elements. And so these are sort of the minimalist cookbook for, you know, what's your plan for an emergency operations center, this room, and who might staff it, and what roles might you consider fielding? Well, it's very situational. And sort of, again, a bit of a thought exercise to demonstrate you've considered a high impact and or prolonged incident impacting the jurisdiction. What would your approach be to managing it, basically, right? Prolonged response on the part of the municipality in support of a combination of responders, right? So the first responders, but then the supplemental responders that come in to do, you know, follow-on recovery work and excavation and all the other things. And so we have our liaison from Vermont Emergency Management that works. They've restructured their model for doing that, which is great because it benefits us. Now, instead of covering the entirety of northwestern Vermont, he covers just Chittenden and Addison counties. So we're actually got a better ratio of towns to support person. So he and I sat, met, reviewed this, and kind of filled in blanks. The biggest piece that I'll tell you is sort of changed or new is some increased interest and or pressure on the part of the state for local municipalities to really think about and try to achieve the minimums around sheltering. And so there's been this long-standing tug of war in Vermont, right, around who's responsible for mass care as a function and sheltering as a subcomponent. And then buried within sheltering, we have cooling centers and heating centers, which are day use, drop-in shelters, right? But the overnight is kind of the crux of it. And historically in Vermont, we've got sort of a background of not a lot of people take you up on the shelter when it's open and operating. But recent years and the pattern of events, particularly in places like, you know, Plainfield and the edges of Montpelier and Waterbury, where we're getting to these real extreme impact events, it's on, you know, day 4, 5, 6 and beyond that these shelters actually do get some use. And so they really are now looking kind of at what's been happening pattern-wise and thinking about our aging population. And so they really want jurisdictions singularly to come up with some minimalist capabilities. So we basically, from what I can parse, have a handshake agreement with the school district to utilize Mount A primary and VES as a backup, hypothetically. And so I met with them, and we're gonna get some of that down on paper. We're gonna eventually craft an MOU that I'll bring before you all to really try to get to a few brass tacks at least. The other piece that the state really wanted to see is a facility or facilities that you all, as the town, have the sort of authority to open and operate. Technically, we rely on this handshake agreement with Mount A, which is why we need to write that down in an MOU. And then we can sort of claim by extension of authority through this agreement, we can open a shelter at Mount A. We also need to revisit the resources. So we are not equipped. So heating and cooling probably can pull that off. Overnight sheltering, there's almost no resources.
Yeah,
So like Middlebury has some, we can call them and ask to borrow, but unless, you know, the same storm hit Middlebury and they're in the same boat. So the Red Cross historically has been the big support partner for jurisdictions, and they are still, it's like a chessboard. They're moving their pieces around, and we keep asking for the updated map of where their cache is going to be, where the nearest one is of their shelter supply trailers. And as of a couple of weeks ago, they're still
It
really
takes time too.
does. And of course, yeah, so that's also why they'd like to see towns come up with some minimalist capability.
What are they looking at for a minimum? Like 20 beds, 10 beds?
Yeah, no number specified. And there's a lot of
Okay, we can have 5.
Yeah.
Five would be
We got
good,
one.
right? I mean, and so there's layers to it, you know, what proportion of our population in Bristol are, have enhanced vulnerabilities, whether they're medical vulnerabilities and they're device dependent, like a home oxygen concentrator, versus, you know, a prolonged scenario where simply we have a swath of our community that's not habitable, like think tornado level damage, right? Like it's just not habitable. There is nowhere for them to go. So there is no prescriptive number right now. And so we'll just work to build the capacity to what we all sort of feel is a reasonable extent.
So when they're talking about, they're talking like just a cot and for a bed,
Yeah,
somewhere
so-
to sleep on, or are they
right.
talking like you gotta have
Yeah,
food, you gotta have this, you gotta have.
Unfortunately, it's not that simple, right? Yeah, so that's a
Right.
great distinction. It's not just, oh, there's a roof and there's some heat, like, and
There's a
electricity.
bathroom and.
Yeah, so there's the bare bones minimums, but one of the trainings I did late last fall was, you know, shelter management. It's a course put on by the Red Cross, and of course it is much more complicated than
Right.
just having a roof and walls and beds. So more to come. But
Well, I can see it being problematic if it's during school as well.
absolutely, it's the
Right.
first thing they said when I had the conversation with the school district. It's like, yeah, well, all bets are off if we're in session.
Right.
So how do we do that? You know, half a year or less of abilities. And Meredith and I connected about, you know, our town-owned facilities and kind of where they're at, what the specs are, and what prospects there might be to think it through. You know, we're not gonna set up cots in here probably, but this is a
Maybe
town-owned space.
upstairs.
But yeah, well, we talked about the upstairs pros and cons.
Right,
So yeah, this is a piece we're gonna try to dig into a little deeper as we look at our plans. Most of the rest of the form itself is very sort of standardized. Ian's been looking over with me in terms of contacts and updating the contacts. You know, this does have a lot of home phone numbers and cell numbers, so it's not necessarily a public facing document in that sense. I'd like to build a public facing document that talks about kind of how the town responds to high impact incidents or prolonged events. And so that'll be something I'll look to put before you in the future.
awesome.
Montpelier engaged what I suspect is a very expensive contractor to help them build a plan. It's 60 pages and it is public facing and it's really great as a template. So what I'm trying to get is permission to steal that template. And I could see it being something we could adapt here. You know, ours doesn't need to be 60 pages. But
Please don't.
they're in a bit of a,
Yeah,
you know,
please don't.
they've had a couple good runs of
Yeah.
Right.
high
Oh,
impact
yeah.
events, right? So they've learned a lot and it's now all captured in that plan, which is
Right.
very remarkable, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, their fire station took on water last week.
Yeah.
They moved everything out of the basement up,
Yeah,
everything on the first floor.
right,
down.
not
It's
first
like-
time, not the
create
last
the
time.
plan at the point you know, you can remember everything you had to do.
Everything that went wrong, yeah.
And that's all because
And
it's an infrastructure problem for them. The drains aren't big enough
Yeah.
for the water they're taking now off.
Yeah, and even if you build a plan then, right, the old military idiom is that, you know, no plan survives sort of the first contact with the enemy. Like it's still, you know, it's a framework.
Keep them away from.
Sometimes it's a planning exercise. Any other questions on the annual update? So Ian will sign off, I think, is our plan for this, because just as the municipal official, he can sort of, I think, sign off with me on the submission of the plan.
Sure.
Good work.
Works for me.
Yep, thank you, Mike. Great work.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Great.
And Stephanie's gone already. Jessica, I haven't heard your voice yet tonight. I wanna make sure it's just not a still picture there.
No, I see her smiling.
I'm here.
How's China?
It's good, not too hot yet, so that's good news for me.
Awesome.
How much longer?
Till the end of June, so 1 more
Okay.
month.
Okay.
So you're enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's been really busy. And you know, it's hard. Everyone's speaking Chinese, so I have to remember Chinese pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
Good. Glad to hear it. All right, moving on. General Parks update, Aiden.
Cool, got a general parks update. Let's see here. New pump in the fountain. Following through on the fountain restoration project, I have a meeting with Bob Wright from Vermont Castings Company tomorrow at 12:30 to have the site visit of the fountain, check its base for integrity, get an idea of proper scale, and just, you know, boots on the ground look at it. See here, talk to Matt Myers in regards to some improvements of our electrical on the park. So recessed lighting for the bandstand so they don't steal the lights or break them because they protrude out. So pretty simple fix just to get them installed to make the profile flush. Adjusting the amperage on the park place side of the park, so across from Kim Smith's old place. Adding a 220 line there to help with the needs of food trucks, which is we're using electricity because we're having more frequency of events on the park, but Meredith can speak more on this behalf, but coming up with a higher fee rate of renting the park to compensate for our
Power.
So if your truck requires 220, you
Right.
pay more than the
Yeah,
110,
yeah,
so
so there's,
vendor.
yeah, exactly, so there's that. Put a new pump in the fountain, have Matt Myers put an inline timer on it, so it shuts off at 10 when the park is closed and turns
Good
back on
idea.
at 6. The main reason for that is that the pump we've been historically buying from Martin's is not a continuous duty pump. It's not really applied for that application to run all day, all night through 24/7 through the 5 months that we have the fountain on. So I called the company, long story short, they're like, yeah, it'll most likely burn out, but if you shut it off every so often, you can kick that can down the road a little bit longer. But they have a pump that's about the same price, like $160, which is a submergible fountain pump that is rated continuous duty. Even with continuous duty pumps, you still should shut them off, because nothing's meant to run forever. So just working out the kinks on that. The bigger request here at the select board meeting is Ian if you can draw it up for me, it's regarding Sycamore Park and our river access. And that action is working with John Swepson, our town arborist, to open and our public works, and I've already tapped Eric about this, and we did a walkthrough of the accesses, the two that we have at Sycamore Park. So the green line is what it looks like right now. And originally that shoreline used to come out a little bit more, but now that actual posted path dumps out into the river. And really, a lot of it has to do with fallen trees and people making their own footpath. So as you see that first switchback there, that actually used to run more parallel to the shoreline, but it doesn't anymore. So what we need to do is, there's not a huge amount, there's no huge trees that need to be dropped. We need to use the guide of the original path to open back up accessibility to that shoreline for the width of an emergency vehicle if there were to be a serious emergency. That upper path is the posted one. The lower path is what people use now, which is again serpentini and switchback-esque coming through. I walked both those paths with Eric, and we suggested that we cut down all the small brush. There's a lot of honeysuckle in there, just a lot of that stuff that can be taken out of the deck. Anything larger, John Swepson would come in with me, and we'd have a day and a half of work of saw.
Isn't that where all the knotweed is?
Yeah, it's all enveloped in knotweed, but if we're proactive about it and we take out what we need to in terms, and like again, no large trees will be taken down. There's just a lot of like widowmakers and snag trees that are probably maybe 10 inches or less. Will be taken down to widen that path to make it accessible, not only safe for the public, because if you can switch to the video, Ian, can just give you a quick walkthrough.
I just tried to, and it says it's an unsupported format.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Could that be?
Imagine a video that contains a lot of knotweed and a very, very small twisty path.
Right now it's just a footpath.
Right.
It's literally a
Yeah.
footpath and.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta duck.
And when
Yeah.
you go, you can
Claustrophobia.
See, you can see the original, when you walk to the posted path, you walk straight, then there's a couple of trees just like that have fallen or uprooted and they're just hanging in there. We're gonna blast through those 2 trees, which is probably the most saw work to be done, and it'll take you onto the original path. But it needs to be adjusted so that you're not walking out to the edge of the shoreline where you can't easily traverse.
You wanna get on that sand.
You wanna get on that sand.
You wanna
get on the beach. So we just
get on the beach.
So what we would
Couldn't that be
do,
dug? Couldn't that be another excavator?
What?
Just make the path of the excavator?
Well, I think that's what,
Take the knotweed all out?
yeah, so we have
Instead of cutting it all.
I use it, I had Mike come down with the deck last fall. Because the issue we're having with the knotweed in general is that it's encroaching into the green space, into the turf. And I'm working on a mitigation phase, so we cut it back in autumn, and then you add, I'm drawing a blank on, yep.
What'd you say?
Yeah, which is, it's like a foam-based apparatus that you spray onto cut stems of the knotweed and it goes down into the taproot, because knotweed runs way down into the ground, and what it'll do, it'll kill the rhizomes, so it'll prevent them from coming back up. The other alternative is lengthy and expensive, and it would require digging it up, and it just goes forever, and you're never really gonna eradicate it. But this,
And the state don't want you.
this can be done in the autumn, after all the bees and everything's done its thing. You cut it back, oh, there we go. You cut it back, and then you add this foam. It's a foam, it just dissipates really quickly, and then it goes into the actual fibers of the root of the knotweed, and then makes it disappear. So this is the upper path. This is what people take right now to get to the river. And as you can see.
There's a widowmaker right there plowing
Yeah,
across.
so that's the one, you would just plow straight through that instead of walking all the way around, which you can see people have done forever. So it's basically just taking the long road to get there. And if I was in an emergency and somebody was at the river and I needed to run back, I would have quite a time. And if I'm not familiar with this space, I would be very disoriented.
Yep.
Because there are suggested footpaths that people have carved out as well, that you'll see, like, that goes back to where you're supposed to be, back on the other side of where those trees have fallen. So so basically they've just switched back all the way around to get to where you get at the end here. You can speed it up a little bit if you want, Ian, to get us, so we're not wasting too much time. Again, switches, and then you get to the end. It's very jungly right now. And then you just dump out to where there used to be a shore, which isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the shore you want on that side. So that's the upper path, and then the lower path is what's posted, and that's totally moved. So back to the topographical map shows us kind of like the red line dashes are where we want to make it disappear. John quoted a day and a half of labor for $1,400. There's also 2 balsams in the very entryway of Sycamore Park that are completely dead, that need to be cut down and chipped.
so is Eric gonna be down there with the excavator?
So I just need to coordinate with John and Eric to make the coordination phases come together timely. And then that would require maybe tapping Mike again, coming down and dropping the deck and cutting back the lighter vegetation.
It would be nice if when you went through, you took enough at each side so that they could run that mower down there.
Yep, that was the plan, yeah, it's because the deck is 7 or 8 feet, and then you have the machine, so you need over 12, really.
Yeah.
And you want it wide enough.
You need
like,
12 feet for a vehicle.
So, yeah, so my envision is like a 12+ width path that's as straight as we can get it to where it needs to be, and the chips just go into the ground.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
I've
I
always
would
thought,
say 24 feet.
Yeah,
and I always thought that part, a lot of it still, I believe, I haven't been on it in a while. Like where Scott Manning's old house was, the foundation,
The hole is still there,
The
there's no
hole's-
foundation.
no, there's no foundation.
There's a water heater back there. I found a water
You know,
heater
those
back
types of
there.
things, I would like to see filled in, that could be a lot more, a beautiful park.
You're just in
Yeah.
time, John.
John?
Oh, just in time, man.
Wait,
That water heater
4
probably
minutes
came
late.
from Lincoln.
4 minutes late. Sorry.
It's all right.
No, you're good.
Just
I was just kind of giving them the gist of our work scope that we talked about and what your quote entails, but you can speak on behalf of what your work scope and quote was and.
Sure. So when we walked it, Aid and I walked it, and the way I understand it, we need emergency access to part of the river or a section of the river. I'm assuming there's, I was assuming there was only one access.
Well, I was showing on this map that there's this is the posted access, and then you have a secondary.
North of the river.
Right, so north of the river, and then south of the river, actually where people have been going, because there's a bigger shore there now.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
Right.
you can see it from the Little Notch Road
There,
Bridge.
we missed a rock there, but that rock is the indicator of where the original path is. Instead, it serpentines like to the left, like 30 or 40 feet, and then comes back around again. So it's
Right.
just a giant switchback.
Right.
See, you should be going towards that way. Instead, you're going farther away,
Yeah.
and then you're dumping out where
Yes.
this is the shore. This is the upper path. This
Right.
isn't the posted path, but this is where everybody shows up. This is where I'll take my students for Rivers Camp, and we'll
Right.
hang out there. But
Okay.
just around that bend is the other section of shoreline, which is split now, which is the original posted path. So it makes sense. We can do one or we can do both, but I think
Get one done for sure.
Yeah, get one done for
Right.
sure.
See what-
And it's
I just don't wanna
yeah.
create confusion for our public about if something were to happen. And it's good to have one path there, but it's almost like go at your own risk if the other path isn't clear, because if something were to happen,
Right.
you wouldn't be able to you're losing time, and if you're not from here, you're gonna just be kind of trying to get your way back as quick as
Right.
possible. And I know that if I'm panicked,
Yeah, this one's up
I'm gonna
closer.
end up hurting myself tripping through it.
Right.
So.
Well, this
I
lower
see that.
one
That
isn't
makes-
quite as long,
So that was the
right?
last video we watched, yeah. That one's just, it's a little bit more direct, and it's where people are going the
Right,
most
right.
in frequency, because they can't really find this spot, cause it's gone. And when they get there, they go like, why is this posted here? It just you end up at the river, you can't even wade down in there because it's just scraggle and tree branch. You can't you couldn't step out into that water, you would have to jump out.
Yeah.
What are you thinking Aiden, in terms of signage? Once these are cleared, can we put clear markings to
Oh,
let people
yeah, I mean, to have it, right now, it's only like two, maybe 3 feet wide at most. So with the footpaths, so to make it as wide as we were discussing, and well-defined with wayfinding signs, I think it would be, a very good safety protocol.
Ian, is there plenty, or not plenty, but is there money enough to do it before the June 30th deadline? So take it out of this year's budget?
I would think so. If it's based on John's quote that Aiden mentioned, I think that's fine. This wouldn't be part of the grant because that's the trees thing, but it would either come out and
No.
what?
Out of the Parks and Rec budget, or out of the Parks maintenance budget?
Yeah.
Is there money there?
Sharon or Chris could speak to that perhaps.
I'm checking it now.
And then,
Yeah, it's not a tremendous amount of money, so I have a feeling it is there.
Yeah, it's from the tree perspective, there's not a lot of tree work.
Yeah.
The access perspective is challenging, cause I wanna be able to get my chipper in there so that we can deal with, it'll just be
you're just
easier.
chipping the trees though, not weeding.
No,
No, that, you come down with the John Deere and drop a deck.
Right.
But we need to be able to get there, because I think the deck can only take things that are like 3 or 4 inches and under.
That's a little bigger than what.
Okay, well, that's what I've been,
Two would be
I've been seeing, but,
So,
okay, maybe not.
You have about 12 grand in your parks budget right now, after the year.
Okay,
Perfect.
And I also think that if you help me,
yeah, I mean,
that's huge. Like if there's two of us on it,
Right.
like I didn't see a lot of tree work, but I saw a lot of access work that's gonna be challenging to maneuver the chipper around, cutting there's nothing big that we're gonna deal with except the tree that's fallen.
yeah, there's a couple of trees
There's
that
a
are.
couple
that are
of
coming
larger
across.
trees, but
Right.
that work is gonna be slice and dice and maybe throw wood aside,
Right.
chip the brush.
Excavator have a thumb, because
So-
our excavator have a thumb.
Huh?
Our excavator have a thumb.
Yeah.
What if he went and cut it all, then they brought it out in a two-stage thing, brought it all out to
Are
the edge
you, are you looking
of
at
the
using,
parking lot?
I think they might be looking to use the chips for the path.
For the
Yeah,
path,
just
But I
to
can-
help,
that could
to help
be a-
as like a substrate to keep down the
But that's not
knotweed,
gonna be the
and
big-
also to
that's not
establish.
the big pieces,
It's
that's
not
just the
big,
brush.
enough to chip it, and we could, you know, kind of what we, casually talked about, like, it's open at the top, but we'd have to like, you know, kind of mark out our cuts, and then our smaller stuff, right, we could chip
Yeah.
in and go, and just chip in piles and move.
Mhm.
And then either the mower deck could come in and do all the light, you know, honeysuckle, knotweed, cause it's mostly just grown in over knotweed, and push, you know, kind of mow your way
To the.
to the
Sand.
access. And then you can just pull out and turn the machine around and do another pass and make it the width that we want it.
And I would be there the chipper works because I'm small, I have a small 250 and the chipper's it's not a huge chipper, so that can get into really tight, small spaces, and my vision was to back it down that path. Cut, chip, back up, make it.
As you chip it,
Chip
one
it,
while
we're-
keep it by it.
But
laying it
the
out.
caveat being, we can't necessarily chip onto the path, so we can fill up the truck, detach chipper, dump the chips somewhere, you come and use a tractor, whatever you have to spread the chips.
Okay, yeah.
That's normally how I work, cause my chipper, we're gonna be in this really tight space and the chute only, it
Right.
only shoots to the side.
Right.
So just shoot it
doesn't
off
go-
the truck,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can shoot it into the truck and then we have
stockpile
right,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm gonna do with those firs that are at the, right at the entrance
Chips.
of everything, there's two
Yeah.
dead fir trees that are there, that are gonna generate a lot of chips too.
Mhm.
Yep.
So from my perspective, there's nothing huge that we're doing, so that makes it kinda easy, it's just kind of a slog to get from point A
Right.
all the way down to the river, moving the chipper back and, in terms of cutting and chipping, that's gonna be pretty easy. And maneuvering, it might be you knock down the knotweed first-ish.
Yeah, just
So it
kind
makes
of
it a wider
move
space
as
for
we
me
go,
to
right.
move.
Yeah.
And the quote that I gave, if we work together, I think it's high. Normally I do everything hourly, so I charge $120 an hour for me.
Right.
And if you're on, then we're
Right.
two people for $120
And
bucks.
I'm chainsaw certified as of last month, or even farther back in.
There's such
in
a thing?
spring. Yeah,
No.
so,
You got chaps, no?
yeah, I have like chainsaw gear, my family.
And I'll
lives
watch him, I'll make sure he makes good cuts, good scans.
Yeah,
No one-handed
so
cutting.
I got in third, okay, I got in third in the game of logging, so I
There you go, third.
I came in third.
Came in
I hadn't-
third of 'em.
I hadn't touched the
Okay,
saw in like 2 years, so.
Two other people
I
in the-
felt pretty
in
good,
the
well,
group?
the other people do trail work for a living.
Yeah.
And they were just getting recertified because
Well,
they've done new jobs, so
I think try to get it done before June 30 and get it in this year's budget.
Okay,
And I can do it like whenever, like if
Okay.
we'll make a plan.
yeah,
On a nice day.
Yep.
And hopefully on a
You
dry
do it
stretch.
quick.
I don't wanna muck up the lawn that's in the area with my truck either, I
Right.
don't wanna go in there when some gooey day and I put
Right.
big
Right.
ruts everywhere, which would suck.
Right.
So it gets sort of dryish weather,
yeah, so a stretch of what we're having right now would be
Yeah,
ideal.
before Thursday. Cause then it's supposed to rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, so weather dependent.
Right.
Stretch of weather,
Not Friday.
Okay.
Do you need a motion, Peter, for this?
We probably should have a motion to,
Yes, please.
yeah, because we're spending money.
I make a motion, let Aiden and John do the work at Sycamore Park as described in their presentation.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
cool.
Thank you, Aiden. Thank you, John.
Appreciate
Yeah,
the
thank
time.
you, guys.
Yeah,
I think
it'll
it'll
look
be-
good.
Yeah, it'll be
Get
good,
both passed.
it'll be good and safe, and that's my biggest concern, especially like I'm hosting Rivers Camp twice this summer, and I want to make sure that my little guys, you know, aren't
Find a way
tripping-
back to the
lose
parking
it.
lot.
finding their way back and not tripping and falling and knocking a tooth out.
Not losing them on the way there.
It's a hard conversation to have.
Do you want me to spend 5 minutes and tell you about trees that we're planting? Do you have time for 5 minutes of that? So
I
I
got a few questions anyway.
All right, you've looked at pounded stakes in the ground. Have you seen those orange flag stakes that are sort of on Church, Elm, Pleasant, and Maple? And there's a couple on Taylor. 37 trees total that we're gonna plant. A whole variety of species, which is nice. Nothing, there's no mono planting, and no
When you say
maples.
mono,
Meaning like if planting the same
Not
thing
all the same
over and
tree
over,
everywhere.
okay.
which guarantees in the future they get some bug at like the ash trees, and then we have a big headache. So it's a nice diverse set of trees. I took into account power lines, water mains, and the water project that they're doing on this side. All the trees, by the way, only on the western side. There's nothing that's going in on the east side, west of North Street.
Yep.
Sorry.
You mean
not
east
west,
That way.
sorry.
east.
That way. We're backwards.
You're
You're
only on the
backwards.
west
Sit
side.
backwards.
I had a bunch of resident interactions and emails and comments and suggestions and people that were like, don't even think about putting a tree in front of my house.
Does that guy live on Elm Street?
There was somebody else on Elm Street, but it was not me.
There was someone on Elm Street that there was a misunderstanding. I moved the trees, now they want them back, so I have to communicate with them. But there's been a lot of communication, but it's all been very positive. And people have been very supportive. And I've used all my diplomatic acumen to make sure everyone's super happy.
You have to have a lot of that.
The dig safe is gonna be happening this week, so Chris Urban is doing the planting, he lives over on Maple Street. He's put the order into dig safe, and so they go around and do all their
Right.
sprays. And then he's thinking about planting next week. And so that's the timeline, and that's where that stands right now. We also are gonna put gator bags on the trees, and those are these self-watering bags that you attach to trees. Chris will put those on at the time of planting, and I don't know if Ian mentioned, but we're gonna hire Greg Butler to do the watering, if he can swing it. I don't know, Ian, you might know more.
We're sort of we put some numbers out there and we try to sort of figure out and what it might cost. I think it's going to be less because it's just all connected with how fast you can fill a 275 gallon tank, how fast it is to water the trees. So Greg's going to do a test. We're going to put the tree getters on some of the trees. I mean, they're going to go on all the trees, but we'll put one on one of the established ones on North Street. Greg will do a test, but he's committed to that for this year. It's kind of an experiment. We haven't done this before. So
Have we reached out?
Have we reached out to any of the residents that wanted trees to see if they would fill them?
I mean, you've got their emails, you said, John, maybe you. say
yeah, and that happened last year. Josh, as part of the ad hoc tree committee, he reached out to people and sort of made those arrangements. The trouble is that it's not a guarantee. Some people were very excited to do it and then realized that their hose wouldn't reach to the tree. You know, so there's all these little things where you have good intentions, but we definitely need to have something in place where we know that the trees are getting watered. And you know, the bag fills, and then we'll see how long it's going to take for the tree to be able to drain that. And so it might be a week, might be 2 weeks, and then we adjust our plan as we go along.
Yeah, and just as an addendum to that, I think it's easy, the Greg Butler doing the watering is easier. It's just easier all around. And there might be people that take it upon themselves to you know, if the gator bag's empty, they might go out and water it if there's like a big dry spell, I think. But like he said, we faced that where people were psyched about it last year. I ended up filling up my big horse trough in the back of my truck and taking a 5-gallon bucket and watering the trees myself, because some of them were on North Street, like the ones that we planted on North. There was no way for homeowners to get out there to water them. So I took it upon myself to get to the driest ones. So it just seems that it's just, you know, and I just hope it's not too cost prohibitive, because we don't know.
He just gave you an hourly thing, but I'm saying, if there's 31, you said, or 37, if he said, well, 20 of them bags were full, he had less hours, maybe it's less bill.
Exactly, and that might be the case.
I understand it, he's gotta check everyone, maybe he doesn't have to fill it.
Exactly. So, Chris is gonna do the planting next week, supposedly. That's what I just talked to him yesterday, and he said he's getting all pumped up to do it next week after dig safe goes in. And the stakes, as far as I'm concerned, Ian, that's where they are. I'm not moving any more stakes.
No, we've had very good feedback from residents, and even residents who had concerns, we've reached out to them. I could have been better in terms of doing a little bit more initial outreach through Front Porch Forum to let people know. But John and I are crafting some information that we'll post hopefully this week if I start feeling better, to be able to get it out there and let people know what's going on.
Right.
Great.
And that's
Thank
the
you, John.
Awesome portrait.
Thanks, John.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, we are gonna move on to the public hearing for Water
Good
and
night.
Sewers District. Annual
Thanks a lot.
meeting.
See ya.
Thanks, Aiden.
We'll
Thanks, John.
start with review and approval of
Look at that,
operating
Beaker. 810, right?
capital budget.
Okay. So we're working through the budget for these. You saw in your reports or your packet that we have Sharon sent out the budget reports for both water and sewer. I put them into our handy dandy spreadsheet, which we looked at last week or last time. Let me share that now. I'll do sewer first since that's usually a quicker one. Let's see here. I'll find it. All right. We won't approve this tonight because I want to get we have one more read and that's coming up very soon. And so I'd like to get the full, especially for water, the full read, and then we have everything that we can look at for dealing with the 2026. And Steve and Joe are on this evening to talk about
that's
various things.
July 1st, 2025. We have to approve this before the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's coming up before then.
Okay.
Right, Jill, is that correct? We have one more read, and that's before the end of July.
They're gonna start the read next Monday, the 9th.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep, starting the read next Monday. It'll probably take most of the week. It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So this is the sewer.
Well, there's no numbers in the budget.
No, I know, because we need to put those in. But we're just we're getting some feedback from Jill. And we've done this on the water, but not on the sewer side.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot going on. Sewer is generally easier to work with. We have done this as I talked about last time, sort of the updated admin fee instead of the breakout, which we had traditionally done. So that's a 2.57 increase on that. And then we just sort of need to figure out as we go through these. And I don't know, Jill, if you can speak to these this evening, or we need to bring it to the next meeting to sort of discuss.
Yeah, I think we've got one more septic tank pumping, which is
Yeah.
usually like 6,000 or 7,000. And I would have to check with Sharon to see where we're at with the grease traps. As far as I think they've got one more set of grease traps to do as well, which is the splitter box and the grease trap. Splitter box is part of the budget as far as expenditures on the town side, and then the grease traps are our expenditure with a reimbursement for the 4 that are external, privately owned grease traps. So it's sort of like an out and an in, basically.
Yeah.
Is that the miscellaneous and allocation revenue? Is that the grease trap? Does it come back in at all?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing is we've got sampling in June and September. So I'll probably do the sewer samples next week. Those are June and September of each year. So let me see, where's that one? Yeah, so that testing line will have.
Is that the 2,500 line?
Yeah, that'll have a pretty good amount between the splitter.
Now and the end of the month?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, June is a big month for sewer. Because June is the one of 2 months that we're required to do all of our testing, and it's also when we do our septic tank pump out, 1 of 2.
What's the bond payment that we didn't budget anything for, but we've got a payment?
I don't know. I thought it was done.
No.
So was that the last payment? No, I thought it was the 9426. Because I thought it was $12,000, because we had this discussion that we decided to keep it and put it in the capital reserve fund, not.
Correct.
We're still paying US Bank a sewer.
Let me see, hang on a sec. I'm gonna look at the list here.
I think the sewer was done in 1995, so this would make 30 years. Was it a 30-year bond?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't it 30-year?
Yeah, so we wrap it up in 2024, which would be, it's June 2025. That's when that ends. So that was the 12,496. That was our water and sewer system improvement bonds. And that was 200,000 over 30 years with an interest of 3.93%. So we had a bunch of payments for that, and that'll be ending this year.
That's the last payment right there.
The 9426 was
has
the
been
last
made.
payment?
Yes.
It has been made. That's why we're not budgeting for next year.
Okay, so that got made in this fiscal year, but we didn't budget for it. So that will end up probably coming out of our, we'll have to see how things look after we get our final expenditures at the end of June.
I mean, I thought we budgeted for it last year, but moving forward, we were putting a 12K
I thought so too.
in the reserve.
Yeah, we can double check that. It definitely wasn't budgeted for last year, I think, because we were assuming that it was coming out. But it should have been into that last one.
Well, if we transfer it to the capital reserve, we can
Take it out.
Put it back out.
of there.
Okay, so that's the sewer. So we're going to do a little bit of work on that as we get the final readings. Excuse me.
So you're gonna put numbers in there, or we're gonna put
Yes.
numbers in there?
Yes. Yeah, I will be doing. We've been sort of the water, because of the water line service line project. That's been taking up a lot of our time figuring out what we were going to do with that. And so I've had less time to sort of work on these numbers. I've talked to Jill and Steve about the water system side, but not on the sewer.
Yep.
And we're sort of waiting to get that final read too. And then this will be for the 2026, 27. And then we'll also be working on, as we start to get into October, maybe that kind of time period, we'll be working on the 27 one, 28. And so then we'll actually have, which the nice thing about that is that we'll have a full read to be able to look at, and as well as a couple of reads, or maybe one read as we go into the budgeting, when all the budgets are synchronized together.
It's true. You'll have a September read with whatever the new rates are.
Ian, can you put that back up, please?
Oh, sure. Hang on. Where'd that go? Okay.
I'm just adding a couple of things here. And the engineering hasn't been spent yet, or only 800 of it. So
I
you've
bet
got
you
another.
he hasn't finished billing because he's got the report written. He just hasn't submitted the final report. It's in draft form right now.
Yep.
Like I said, there's a lot that happens in wastewater in June.
So you got your septic tank pumping. It looks like the first one was about 13.5. So I just doubled
You
that.
said that's 2.
That was I think that was
First one.
that was the first one. And that's also, so all of the bills for the septic tank and the splitter boxes and the grease traps all goes to that same line. So
Right.
that's the first tank, and that's all of the.
So we're gonna expect another bill about that same amount for those
I think you
items
said
that
8 or
come.
9.
I think it's going to be more like 6, and then we've got one more grease trap and splitter boxes, which Sharon would have to help me with what that one is. But that one's kind of like a partial in on the expenditure side, and then and also partial reimbursement on the revenue side because the grease traps get reimbursed.
Well, what I'm saying is, as of today, or 5/1, or as of May 1st, we were about 24,000 under budget for that. So that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
But
it's
so we
just
are,
really
besides the
accurate.
pumping and the engineering and things and a few other things, the grease traps and all that, we should be pretty good, finish the year out with no surprises.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any surprises. I still think we'll be a little
We
bit.
don't have to clear land anymore and chip it all and fix the landscaping down there or anything. But I'm just wondering, we had some things you said that didn't get done.
Yeah,
You
I
had
know.
the locks you did last year on the tank covers,
Yep.
correct?
Those are great because everything's keyed the same now. So there's not a bunch of different keys to a bunch of different things. So that's super nice.
But didn't you bring us to our attention something about in the bottom, the brick or something was getting
Oh, that got fixed. Yeah, that we
Okay,
remortared.
that got fixed then.
Yep, we remortared and rebuilt. That's the effluent structure to the septic tanks. That was totally falling apart. That was done last year.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think in Steve's report he wants more trees cut, and a little bit more other landscaping stuff, but that's not going to get done in June. And we'll talk through with you guys which things you want to proceed with or recommendations that you guys can choose how you want to move ahead with.
Okay. I don't want to mercy closes.
Onward, Ian.
All right, let's see here. So let's go and switch to the water budget. Let's take a look at that. Okay. All right. So this actually it's actually this. The most recent period 11. Not 5.1. I just hadn't updated that, but these numbers are updated. So that's where we're at. We have one more read to hopefully bring us closer to our budget of 387. We did some math last time, and we're going to be a little bit below that, just so people know. The miscellaneous revenue is some of those are mixed in with the water connection fees. We need to break those out. We've got our new admin fee structure, as I mentioned, same as the sewer. And then Jill and I and Steve, we put some numbers in here as we went through. We're going to take out training since all that's sort of done separately, and we haven't really used it over the last few years. Everything else sort of stays in. Uniforms, that's a holdover from many years ago. We can take that out. Jill suggested taking out the miscellaneous. Everything's sort of covered under lines that we already have in here.
A question, Ian.
Yeah.
Up on admin fee, we have it set at like 19.5, but we've only spent 2,700.
Well, that's because of the changes in personnel. They haven't been coded and stuff like that. So we just need to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Our electricity is we're pretty high at the moment. I don't know why that is. I've started digging into. Sharon gave me access to the Green Mountain Power accounts. We have them all. When you log in, you can look at every single account we have, and we have a lot. But you can dig down and you can see what our energy usage is for the pump house. And so I need to talk to Steve and Jill about that to just see the idea of the VF.
Some of it's solar. You have to look
Yes.
at both solar and GMP.
Yep. No, I know. But it's still, I don't know why we're so high. The idea with the VFDs is that it's supposed to be, as well as sort of preserving the equipment and you're not using such high voltages in starting and stopping, things like that. The idea is that it's more efficient. But it's now that we're at 40,000 and we budgeted 32, there's obviously something at play there. And you know, there are a number of factors that can contribute to that.
You're pumping more, you really, I disregard the money, and when I look at G Mountain power bills at the bank, I look at how much I'm using for kilowatts.
Yes.
How many kilowatts I'm using every month. I track that. Then I know, okay, I'm wasting electricity somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they've had rate increases, there's no doubt about it.
That's true, yes.
So look at your kilowatt.
Yeah, that's
Look
something
at your kilowatt and say, boy, we are using more kilowatts. And as Peter said, you're pumping more water.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Because we got
holes in the ground.
Right. So
Are we supposed to be fixing them?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the idea. And so hopefully, but it takes, obviously with the water line replacement project, it takes a long time, and we're not going to see that sort of change overnight. So we looked at this. Jill and I looked at numbers that were lower than 40,000 in that column D, and so we put in 40. But you can see that we're actually over. We're at 40,500.
You got one more read.
Yes. So we've got one more month of this, and so we might be at 45, perhaps. I'm not sure. So we might want to bump that up a little bit.
That's pretty depressing.
Yes. I mean, hopefully, you know, as Sharon mentioned, we do have the solar. It's only 10% of the solar field that we're connected to, but we do have opportunities, hopefully, in the next few years to be able to build facilities like the new public works facility that would have fairly large buildings with very large roof space, and we could put solar on there. And generally,
that's not going to help your water. That's not going to help your water department, though. You'll probably finish out the year with your electrical about 44.8. or 44 too.
All we need is a big set of jumper cables, and we'll send Ian up there at night to hook onto the solar field at the top of the hill.
Get some UL rated extension cords and run up to the hill.
Right. I mean, I could do that. It's going to be tough, but I'll try to do that. But I mean, yeah, if we can, I know that we have to have a conversation about that. Obviously, we want to offset any costs of a new building. You're trying to be sort of net zero and try to produce or generate the amount of electricity that you're using in the building. Currently, looking at usages for the town garage and buildings, there's not a tremendously huge use. The water pump is our highest use. So if we could put something towards that with solar on a building that we build in the next few years, that would help greatly. We also have the conversation though about it's a district versus the town barn being.
That's why I said
we have to pay it. We have to pay it anyway. So if we get the power from there, we just reimburse the general fund. It's not. It's not the end of the world. Right.
Yeah. But it'd be nice to do that. I mean, the idea is that you're reducing your electricity cost.
Because you do have a dome over that reservoir. You could put solar panels on that reservoir. Possibly, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but
it's the amount of trees that are up there. You just need big fields. You know, we have a fairly decent sized piece of land down on Hewitt, and the building that will go there will be pretty big. And if you look at like Charlotte's building, you know, they have solar panels across the entire roof. So I think that would be a big discussion to have to make sure we can not just covering the cost of the building itself, but as many other accounts that the town has to be able to cover with solar.
Yeah, that's the return on investment.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out whether, because it's not cheap to put them in either, so.
No, absolutely.
The other thought that I had and that I spoke with my my friend Lindsay, who's a hydro engineer, about was, since we do have higher pressures, would there be an opportunity to put some type of hydro capture? It would reduce the pressure coming down a little bit, and I'm curious to know if when we're doing the hydraulic model, if we could poke in something that would take some of that hydraulic power that's coming down in PSI, reduce the PSI just a touch, and maybe be able to get some hydropower to send back to the water system. So when Steve's doing that what do they call it? The hydraulic model, I'm curious to see what he sees the pressures and what we might be able to reduce for pressures if we could possibly gain the use of some type of turbine.
I mean, we have almost 3 times the pressure we need for a household. That's why every household's got a pressure reducing valve.
Yeah, it's why I'm curious to know, like, if we've got, you know, one, I think the lowest I've ever seen is just below 100, and the highest I've seen is like 145. So I'm curious to know, could we lose 20 or 30 PSI and gain some type of turbine hydro energy from the water system and let that offset some of this as well. So again, I am wanting Steve to provide that hydraulic analysis so that I can pop that over to Lindsay and have her look at it and tell me if there's a possibility to capture some of that.
You know, there is a place where we could do something on a smaller scale. Would be, of course, they don't use all that much water up down the woodlands, but we could put something in there because we've got a pressure reducing vault over there.
Right.
But I don't think there's probably not enough volume going down over that hill to generate much electricity at all.
Yeah, I just read those meters last week, and it's almost all going through the low flow 2-inch. Very, very little. I think there's like I don't know, 2,000 gallons have gone through the large meter, and all the rest of the volume, which is millions of gallons, have gone through the low flow 2-inch. So it's it's pretty remarkable how much is going through the small.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be, unless we got a lot more users down there, it wouldn't be feasible.
Right, but it'd be pretty sweet if we could do something on the larger line coming down from the tank. So
is this the 10th year for them for that agreement? No.
Like another 4.
Do we have any more? I know you and I talked about that, but I couldn't remember the year. Okay.
Yeah, we have a few more years on that, and we've reached out to them, sort of preparing them for the changes that will happen with the new rate structure. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they see what the rate structure will be, and then they see what their
paying
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't show them what it would be if they weren't getting a deal.
They'll still say it's a surprise.
Right. No, but that's why exactly why we're reaching out to sort of, hey, there
Yeah.
is going to be this change because of the new rate structure. They see it, but it's like we're sending them reminders just to be able to prepare the
Right.
property owner for that.
Yep.
So we've got our operating contract and contracted services. Operating contracts bumped up a little bit. Meters and touchpads, that's all folded into the supplies line. So that'll clean up that a little bit. And we've got our debt service, and we've got obviously our new Pine Street here. The other big thing here is at 100% increase is our capital water and equipment fund plan. We had previously spoken about, we had put that at 50 for the last number of years, and we're increasing that to 100 just to be able to sort of get us into a place where we can apply for these DWSRF loans and be able to get some sort of forgiveness, or at least, if not in the first round, hopefully in 2 years, then the second round in 2 years from now.
So there was no luck in combining those two projects?
We'll have an update on that very soon.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, no.
I was gonna say,
The
what
next
are we waiting for?
Right.
We only applied for the drinking water SRF priority list for the one project, and because we didn't apply for more, they won't allow us to now put another project in there. Also, the project has to be designed, it has to have a construction permit. And yeah, our phase 3 is not ready for the drinking water SRF P list. So the short
Let's
answer,
just
no.
leave it to the state to throw roadblocks in.
I know.
Well, it's a combination of things where, we've had, Jill and Steve and I have had lots of conversations with the state about this. And our last question was, can we combine projects? They essentially said no and gave very good reasons. But on our side, there are a lot of cons to that. By combining the 3 projects, we have a timeline of 2 years. The ability to find a contractor that would be able to do phases 2, 3, and 4 in 2 years are almost non-existent. And so it does create, it creates more cons for us trying to do that, even though it's very beneficial in terms of the overall costs. So let's take a look at, so that was the water budget. Let's do a quick jump into the water department capital fund, or the capital projects and funding sources. Let me share that. So we've been updating this a lot, excuse me, as we go ahead. The state is still looking for some
Can you
details
make
for
that
us.
bigger?
Sure.
Here again, I asked for a piece of paper so I could read what's up on the screen because we can't see it.
I know. I would have gotten you something had I been able to be in there today.
I can go to the printer right now. You can send it to the printer.
Yeah, I don't think that.
No, I know you can't.
Let me go back.
I
How's
did
that?
also
That's
ask
okay.
Ian, the reserve balance that I had at the end of last fiscal year was like 350,000.
Yes,
So I did ask
this
why.
is using the 2023 reserve fund balance that's in our audit, and we're still working through because of there has been some sort of confusion about just where funds were coming from and paying for, just because we have these projects that are ongoing, especially on the engineering side with Steve, and paying that money. So we're sort of using the water district balances to pay the engineering, and then we're going to be reimbursed. So that's why that number is currently lower. And we're working hard to get an actual number on that. So this is our water department. This is our capital improvements project spreadsheet. And so we have our reserve expenses, and here we are. So again, as I said, I'm using the 2023 amount that's in our audit just as our current balance for the reserve fund, and then we're adding 50. That was the previous year, and then we're going to bump this up to 100 as we go into 2026. And so you can start to see that we're building out and building up to have a very healthy fund balance on this. And at the same time, we've got a bunch of different projects. So we've got replace pump house control panel, our major leak repairs, radiometers software, assess the spring box and transmission line vulnerabilities, and then replace, update the pump house pipe that crosses the river. So major leak repairs are about an average of 10 every year, and our bigger projects, the 200,000 for the control panel, and then the assessment study about 15, and then way down here in 2033, we've got our what was that? That was our radiometer readers and stuff like that. So that's the 350,000. So we do have a very healthy balance. You know, we know that this is an older system, and we know that we're going to have projects other than this crop up as we go over the next 10 years. So we want to make sure we're putting that in there. We're also putting this in here, as I said previously, to sort of allow us to get a little bit better numbers when we apply for the loans. I've put it in up to 2034, I think. Oh, it goes all the way through. We may adjust this as we get closer and we get past that, those projects, but that's something we can speak about in the future.
Well, there'll be some other project we'll have to do.
Yes, no, I mean, it's just inevitable of what we're working on. You know, even when we complete all the water line infrastructure, there will just continue to be large projects that we have to pay for. So when we've got our different loans here, this is our debt. We've got phase 1, which we actually have, and these are our to be determined phase 2, 3, and 4. And so we're sort of trying to figure out what we're going to be able to get. The 40 years, 50%, that's ideal. But looking at all the different ways of being able to fund this, it doesn't look positive. And these are our capital projects that we've been talking about, the phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, staggered over the next 6 years. So there we are with that. And then let's see. Stop sharing this. What's the next one? Okay, so we'll talk about, so yeah, essentially we weren't able to get it combined into the projects. We've begun this process. We can't sort of go back on that. And it doesn't seem beneficial to us to be able to combine because it limits us so much in terms of who could possibly do this. So we're sticking with our current schedule, which is working with the state and the DWSRF to figure out what our the next few years might look like. Let me share that form here. So this is our handy dandy scenarios, which you've seen before. And essentially, you know, as Jill and Steve and I get updates from the state, we're looking at these and we're doing our calculations, trying to figure out what these scenarios look like. We've got scenario 1 was our, you know, best case scenario. That's kind of like not applicable now. Scenario 4 were a couple of other ones that are no longer applicable with the information that we've learned. So if we're going through, this is what we're currently planning for. So we previously had like a 3% yearly increase. Talking to Jill and talking to Steve, it seems like, or sorry, 6%. It seems like 6 is an awful high increase with what we're looking at with our numbers. So I bumped that down to a 3% yearly increase on the system. We're bumping our reserve fund up, at least for the foreseeable future, into 2033. And then we've got our current debt, which we have now. So with our scenario 2, which was our 0% forgiveness and our 2% interest or admin fee for phase 2, that's what we're looking at for over 30 years. As we get into the next phase, we definitely, at least according to the DWSRF rate scale that we can look at in that form, we can get 40 years, 0% admin, and 49% forgiveness, or 50% forgiveness, I should say, because that's the 50. Or phase 3 and phase 4. Obviously, these numbers might change because in 2 years, maybe it's no longer a $4 million project. It might be a little bit higher, but we would bond for that at the time. And we'll have information about that as this project, you know, proceeds over the next couple of years. So this is what we're currently looking at. It's not ideal. It's not what we wanted, but I think it's a good way to go forward. It's sort of preparing for the scenario of not being able to get any kind of forgiveness for that first phase 2.
So that would be our payment, $178,000.
Correct.
Yeah, Ian, can you also show them
Double.
what we'd like to try to do is if Frida
Yep.
can try to get us a Northern Borders grant, because we don't qualify for the 50% forgiveness or the 0% admin fee, if she could apply and maybe get us $1 million grant, it would bring the financed amount down to 3 million, and it would bring that 178 down.
Right. So
really great.
Yeah, scenario 3 here is the calculation of a $500,000 Northern Borders grant, and so we are at 3.5 million. So generally what we're looking at now is like anything to bring down what we're borrowing from the DWSRF, even if it affects our next phase by a little bit. You can see that we were at 50,000 because we had higher debt, but now we're at 69. But all of it helps to be able to reduce that down. So this is having 500,000 support this project. Maybe we're lucky and we could apply for $1 million and we get $1 million, so that's going to be even less. But I think the numbers that we have to play with now and the numbers that we are looking at and have in our minds are going to be these higher numbers, and we should just expect these. And if we are successful with getting a Northern Borders grant or perhaps even earmarks, congressional spending money, we could offset that as well. And so, as Jill said, that could go to a $3 million, which then takes us down to whatever that is. I can't remember what it is. So that's sort of a better case scenario. But because those aren't guarantees, I think we should just have in our minds that it's going to be this going forward. So these are here's where we're at currently, average yearly cost. And this is using, as we talked about before, our higher users. We took a look at the specifications of how the state suggests you work out your billing units or your ERUs. And we could reduce our number of ERUs by combining more commercial units, even if it's with residents, if it's for an apartment block. Chris looked at numbers there, but really we cannot get enough to be able to reduce it down. That 695 that we used before was definitely a great number, but it's not really an accurate number. So what we've done with our rate increase is correct. That's what the state wants to use, and they're looking to us to provide that. But even combining and doing a little bit of making some of our larger users or number of apartments and things like that, it still doesn't get us into a place where we can actually get the 178 down anything. We still don't hit that threshold, even if we did some math. We need to drop by hundreds of ERUs, or if not over 200, and we can't do that. So everything is costed out. So sort of worst case scenario, not worst case, but the highest amount we're using our 977. This is where we're at now. And you can see as we start to go in, this is 5 years. Excuse me. We're at 400. We're at now 666, 760. So it's going to be going up, but the idea is that we can hopefully offset some of those costs by getting 500,000 or $1 million to be able to offset some of these loans from the state. So as you can see, we jump. So we're at, with just 4 million, we're at 666. We knock off 500. We knock off 500,000. We're at 643. If we had another 500,000, we'd be maybe down at 625. It's just it levels that curve a little bit as we sort of go up higher with the rates. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's not ideal. Believe me, I'm and Jill and Steve and we're as upset as anybody to be able to do this. And we've really worked hard with the state to try to get them to work with us as much as we can. And we will continue to do that. But I think for our planning, we should really plan for the highest amount and expect that. And if we get grants for 500,000 or we get earmarks for 500 and our amount drops, we all get excited about that.
Yeehaw.
Okay. Moving on.
So that's the replacement schedule review. We didn't do that, but we know that hasn't changed, right?
No, it has changed.
No, and Steve can give an update to that. We do have some questions about the private water lines, and I'll share that document because we've been talking about that, what we're likely to do with those. They're not part of Bristol East or West at the moment, and so we need to have a discussion about how we would like to proceed with those, and I'll share that document right here. And Steve, you can speak to that.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Howdy.
Hey, Steve.
Ian, do you happen to have the copy of the schedule we just put together for the state?
Yeah, hang on one sec. I just have that. There we go.
I think it'll be a lot easier to do this visually.
Did you send that to me today?
I think I sent it to you on Friday.
All right, hold on one sec. Give me.
Is that the one that was uploaded with all the colors?
Yes.
Thank you. My brain is turned to mush. Okay, there it is. Got it. Okay. All right, let's see here. And perfect. There we go.
There you go.
Can everyone see that, or is that super small?
Well, we
kinda
can
small.
see it, we can't read the writing, but we can see the color.
I got something on the screen.
Right,
That
so if
color
it's bright
chart,
colors,
all we
that's
know.
good.
Yeah, so you can see phase
You
one,
know the
obviously,
colors.
Pine Street, right? So everything in yellow is completed.
Yep.
Phase two is obviously, phase two and phase three are where we're at today. Phase two is essentially, from a design perspective, just about complete. I mean, we're really waiting on the state, and then we'll finalize, the state, in other words, to give you an answer on the priority list application. That typically happens in July. Jill has heard that may get postponed. We'll just have to see about that. But, the bid specs are drafted. Obviously, the drawings are basically done. I think we need to add 2 more utilities, the Main Street power and underground. Other than that, I believe we're at 100%. So that part is ready to go. You guys have a permit.
Yep.
Phase three, really, I think what you should probably take away from this is the stuff that's in brown, right? These were really our construction years, right? The goal through all of this has been to have back-to-back construction and try to limit, the impacts to the public and make these into phases that are manageable, so to speak, right? 5,000 feet a year is quite a bit, and that's really our goal. So think about it like 5 streets a year, okay? Without all the impacts and the complaints and all the things that we had on Pine Street. We were able to have two-way traffic on Pine Street in terms of the width, right? We broke that down to one-way traffic most of the time. We had some blocks obviously shut down from time to time. Most of the streets that we're going to take on in phase two, with the exception of probably West Street, are narrower than Pine Street. We're probably going to end up with a total closure of each street as we go. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging in terms of the impacts to the public. I'm trying to be mindful of that in here, right? Everybody's probably heard about what's going on in Burlington right now. You've been down there. It's basically a revolt going on in Burlington because they tried to essentially do everything at one time, and it's not pleasant for the public, and it certainly isn't pleasant for the businesses. So I think some of that we want to try to avoid. There are going to be impacts. I mean, this is pretty invasive work, no matter how you slice it. Will can tell you that better than anybody, but if you look up at the, if you can scroll up just a little bit, yeah, there you go. And here's essentially your construction years the way we have it planned out, right? Phase two would happen over calendar year 26 and 27. Think about it like a 6-month construction season, right? You probably start in April, and I think you're going to want everything paved. Eric's certainly going to want everything paved before winter, so he can plow and not have all those issues to deal with. So to do that, it's always a good idea to have everything paved by, say, the 1st of November, right? You don't know when the asphalt plants are going to shut down. Certainly by Thanksgiving they are. I like to plan a little early, right? That's the engineer in me that likes to be a little ahead of the curve. So probably a 6-month construction season for each one of these. There's a little bit more work involved in this too, and I want you guys to understand that. That's, Pine Street, one of the beauties that we had on that, we had great soils up there. Everything was fine grained for the most part. We had very few cobbles and larger stones. Everything that Peter's told me and everything that Eric and Jill have told me is as we get closer to the river, expect that we're going to get into a lot more boulders and cobbles, which means essentially we're going to have to either process or bring in bedding sand for that. I'm planning on the entire project, right, which is a lot more truck traffic and a lot more time. So those are some of the things that we're going to be probably adding time to this. If you were trying to look at it as how much did you guys achieve in a day in terms of number of feet, I think on Pine Street over the course of that project, we were about 30 feet a day. I would expect we'll probably be less than that on this. But that's only because I'm anticipating, like I said, we're going to have more truck traffic and move that back and forth. And we've got some areas of contamination that we're going to have to deal with, which essentially means whatever comes out of that hole has to go back in. So we're going to be doing some on-site processing. Some things I'll be talking with Peter about his view of what he thinks is realistic. But that essentially can't leave unless we were going to pay a tremendous amount of money to Casella to dispose of it in the landfill, which we don't want to do. But, like I said, I think the takeaway for you guys is phase one construction wise, phase two construction wise is 26 and 27. Phase three is 28 and 29, and phase four is 30 and 31. And I think what we didn't have on here the last time, nothing's really changed in terms of phase 2 and 3. What we didn't have on here last time was an anticipated schedule for phase 4. I think it was helpful for all of us to put that in here, and now you can kind of start to see, all right, we need to do an alternative analysis probably in 27, and then get the ball in terms of design and permitting and what we want to do following the alternative analysis. So I don't really know what that's going to look like today. I don't think any of us do, because we don't really know what the most cost-effective alternative is going to be yet. That's something we'll have to flesh out. That's the gist of it. I thought this would be a little bit easier to visually see this for you guys than just to talk about it.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Nope.
No, just done.
Can't wait till it's done.
I know.
Come back in 6 years.
Yeah.
Private water lines.
Yes. So we've had this discussion before, and we sort of need, as this column shows here, we need a decision on what we're going to do with these. These were not part of the plan, at least Bristol West or East at the moment. Since West is almost completed, it's probably not going to be added in for that, but we'd like some decisions on where we want to go with these.
Ian, I sent you a map. I emailed it to you, I'm sorry, a little bit ago.
Oh, I got it.
It might be helpful for folks to see.
Yeah, I can share that.
I think the, what you want to talk about, yeah, South Street first?
Yeah.
So what is, let's see, you can see the Lathrop Mill here, it says 4-inch cast iron CI.
Mm-hmm.
From the edge of the road right away out into Lathrop's Mill area, there's a segment of pipe out there that shows up today in the town's water line inventory. And I didn't put the inventory together. This is done by others, call it. So I don't know the history and how this is put together. And Peker and some other folks may know a lot more than I do. The challenge is I don't know if we have any easements today to do that work. And I don't have any idea of what the handshake history may have been when that was put in and who was going to own it and maintain it. It's in the preliminary engineering report that Green Mountain Engineering did in 2021. That got approved by the state to replace everything up to the hydrant, which is right in the middle of Lathrop's Mill, right, that little dot you see at the end of that. So I guess my question for you folks is exactly what are you asking me to design? Are you asking me to design that all the way to and replace the hydrant? Are you asking me just to replace that to the meter pit that Jill has, right? It's right about where the number 4 is right there today, that's in the public right away. And then somebody else is going to replace this.
So essentially we've got 1905 cast iron hydrant on Lathrop property. Bristol Waterline inventory lists this segment as town owned. Unclear if there is an easement, should be replaced. So what are people's thoughts on how to
I was going to ask you guys, do you guys know? I mean, did we put it there for the benefit of Lathrop's, or if they had a fire in the town?
1905, it was, we didn't do it.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like it was probably put there so that if they did have a fire, we had a water source.
Yeah, right. And when the big mill burned, we didn't use that hydrant.
Because it's only 4 inches.
Because it's only 4
So
inches.
we think it was put in in 1905?
I don't
We'd have
know.
to look back. We'd have to look back in the land
I
records to
don't
see if
think
there's
the
an
mill
easement.
is that old.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because Claire's father moved down here out of Lincoln, according to Tommy.
And I think a conversation with the boys who own the mill now is, do they need that now? Because the operation has changed. They've only got a couple of buildings, 3 buildings down there now, instead of the great big mill that burned. That's a conversation I think the board and the Lathrop should have to, okay, our ownership stops at the, we're at the curb stop or at the edge of the road.
Okay, so look back at the land records. Do Lathrops need this?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I mean, you have to look back at the land records to see if there's an actual easement they gave us and that we do really own it.
Right.
And if we don't own it, then it's on them to, but my guess is the town probably owns it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Bristol Manufacturing was in that whole area until 39.
Yeah, but that was the other side of the river.
I thought they weren't in that side as well?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Everything was
was on
before the
bank.
river.
Yeah, they were on this side right here, at least looking
And
at,
the other side of the road. They were both sides of the road there.
Yeah, the coffin factory.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then School Street. All right, we know about that. That's oops, where am I going? Here we go. That's here.
Yep.
So the detail on that, oops, sorry, is 1905 galvanized. School district legally owns it today, should be replaced.
Joe, wasn't there, I thought when we had a discussion with this, with, Patrick and Floyd, because of their own district, we were gonna see if there were any grant funds. Did we find out there were or were not?
So here's how this lead service line replacement thing is working. Is that we would be 100% eligible for a 50% grant. So it has to be engineered. So it's that same conundrum. It doesn't have the income sensitivity with the 1% MHI that the regular SRF does, supposedly. They're dumbfounded that nobody's taken them up on the offer to replace service lines for 3 times the cost with a 50% grant. And I'm saying it's because you're making the program too expensive.
But don't we have the ability to get right away and everything there that we have to get anyway?
So all we would have to do is do a quitclaim deed in order to replace that line.
The school would have to quitclaim the interest of the water line to the town of Bristol.
Right.
Correct. And then
And they would be happy to do that, I'm sure.
And it could be done as part of a
Yeah.
project, or it could be done as a maintenance item in a inside of a whatever operating year you would want to do that. Meaning it's anything that's under 500 feet that's just an exact replacement can be done as a maintenance project. Anything where you're changing things.
Yeah, but didn't we
it's a construction
get a price that we felt wasn't reasonable?
It's
And
like
we
100
felt
grand.
that it would be.
Yes.
was
If
100
we
grand.
rolled it into the project, that it would be.
Yes. The most financial sense is to roll it into Bristol East.
I mean,
We already have it engineered, isn't that, didn't Steve engineer it when we were looking at this, when we thought it was
Right.
gonna be us?
We do.
So
And
Bristol,
we put it out to bid.
Right.
And why can't we put it as an addendum on West?
Bristol West, yeah.
I don't think we even have to put it as an addendum. I think we could just add it to Bristol West.
It's not in,
Or-
it's not in the preliminary engineering report,
Right. That's the reason.
Oh, I see.
which we need to do an addendum to at some point anyway. But we're not gonna be ready for that for Bristol West. We may for Bristol East.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. It can be its own standalone thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of the Bristol West project, but I do think it makes sense. We will get the best bang for our buck if we include it into one of these projects.
Yeah, unless Jill's fear comes true, and when we go around there and replace Park Street, that line is absolutely no good, and it has to be replaced when we hit it.
Because you're not gonna have anything to attach to. We'll see. We'll see. It could be that you have just enough to attach to. We'll see.
I mean, my concern ultimately comes with the rest of the water district is saying, well, that's a private line, why are we paying for it? You know, that doesn't belong to the
Well, then,
town. Why would
wasn't
we
the
take it
school,
over?
wasn't the school willing to pay something?
They were not
really.
They weren't wanting to. They were saying that they
No.
didn't feel that they could get taxpayer support given all of the other
Yeah.
Right.
complications they're having with their funding.
Yeah, and that was a year and a half ago. They're in a little bit better. Obviously, their budget passed first time, but they did some very unique things to get that a couple million lower than what it was going to be. I still think they're in a difficult place. They suddenly have this private water line that they.
They don't have a building there anymore.
Well, that
Yeah.
they had no idea they owned.
Right.
They really
Yes.
had no idea.
Yeah, I think they're absolutely
Almost
happy to do the
supermarket.
quick claim deed, and I think it's just something like, I think it's just something that it should have always been ours, and I think it's something that we just encapsulate into the next project and we take care of it.
I won't say it should have always been ours, because I believe the school wanted it to be theirs. You know,
Could
'cause
be.
they owned the road and they
Yeah.
owned the building.
Yeah.
It was really technically a private line, and they just let people add on to it.
Yeah.
As a private line.
Did they, or did the water system operator let the people add on to it?
Right, that's a question
So,
too.
oh, we got a
But
6-inch going up.
It doesn't matter, but.
Right.
yeah,
doesn't matter.
outside of all of that, we want to be able to manage that. We want it to update it no matter what it is. We're not 100% sure it's 1905. That's a guess, because we haven't really seen it. But I think we
When
want to
was
take care.
When was the school built?
60-something,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
No.
No, before that.
No,
It
1800.
closed in
60-something.
They
So
closed in
I think it makes sense to us to do it. And I think if we
Oh,
pull it into the
grade
project,
school.
we're going to get a lot better price than we did putting it out to bid just as a unique project.
Right. I think that's part of the reason, mobilization and everything for, what, 300 feet, 200 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if we can do an amendment to Bristol West, that's the time to do it, when they've got that corner opened up.
Okay.
That would be, I mean, is that possible, Steve, to do an amendment to put that into that project?
Not at this point, Beaker. That ship already sailed.
Okay, so then that's out the,
So if we get to it and something happens, but then we have to replace it, then it's not gonna be part of that? Or is there some kind of waiver that allows you to add an emergent?
So. Okay, I'll let him answer that one before I ask my question.
I think you'd have to use your capital reserve fund to pay for it if you had a water leak emergency and needed to replace a small water line segment.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And then
Yeah,
ship
you
it
could-
to the school?
That's true. Actually, one of the things, Peter, I probably misspoke on that. You're right. You probably could include it in Bristol West, but it wouldn't be eligible for state funding.
but Steve, so Park
Could
and
be
School
could
Street
be part of
are,
the loan.
Park and the School Street that's going from Park down to West Street, that's in the Bristol West project in the
Right.
scope,
Right.
right?
That's right.
So could you do if the bids came in decent, could you do a change order for 200 feet going up towards the old high school?
Absolutely. The question is it going to be eligible for state funding?
Right, whether it's not or, yes.
Which if it's not included in the preliminary engineering report, it will not be eligible.
but we could do an addendum, and we'd have to pay for it out of,
Something.
We didn't include it in the funding application that we did. I'm not trying to throw cold water on anybody's ideas. I think they're all great ideas, but we didn't include it in the funding application that we submitted to the state.
I totally understand that, and I get what you're saying. I'm just thinking that the time it should be done
Is when you're there.
is while we're there with the equipment, and the road is dug up, and not go back the next year and dig the road up again.
Yeah, so it could be done more like right across from the town garage, Lawson Lane. Really, it was done by the same contractor, it just wasn't eligible for funding.
Yeah.
And that just so happened to be a developer cost to put it in the place where it needed to go, which is why that wasn't considered a town water line at that time.
And we could also, one of the options is to speak with the school and say, look, we can put this into our Bristol West project, but we would like support from you to be able to pay. And maybe that
We
works.
would like a donation.
Right.
At least 1/3.
Well, that's a discussion that we can have with them. They definitely don't want it.
Right, no, they don't want it.
So, if we can help them as much as we can, I think that's a good thing to do. We want to take it over, and we want to not have people without water in that area, or have to look after it themselves, or have the school look after it. So I've written down amendment to Bristol West, yes, but probably not eligible for funding. So I think I think you're right, Peter. I think doing it at the same time makes the most sense. If we dig that up on Park and we have an emergency, then we have to do it anyway. So let's just plan on doing that and plan on those funds coming from somewhere else.
But could we also ask the residents to put in some money too. Like, I don't think that the school district would be able to swing a large amount, but maybe the school district and the residents together could each contribute a small part of it. Isn't that what you said we did in the other private lane instance?
We did. There was a certain amount to be able to update that. It is a different situation, but it is something that we could explore.
I mean, ultimately, you look at the school and say, if this water line fails, it's on you 100%.
Absolutely. And that's why they're hesitant to let people connect to
Right.
it,
Do
because
anything.
there are a lot of unknowns with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right, so speak with school district and residents, RE funding. Okay. The next on the list is Lawrence Lane. See if I can drag that over here. There we go. All right, and the details on this are as follows. 1905 era cast iron, hydranted end, not listed in Bristol waterline inventory, should be replaced. And this
Who's
is
been
something that would
maintaining
be,
it?
this would be part of Bristol East.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's in the street, so it's not
It's
a
in the
right,
street.
it's not a right of way issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so add it to Bristol East.
Michelle,
Done.
do we need to do any title work on that, or because it's right in the road, are we good on that one?
I mean, it's our road, right? Or is it a private
No,
lane?
It's our road.
The town
we plow
owns
it.
Lawrence Lane, right?
It shows it there.
Yeah, but that doesn't
The
mean
dotted-
doesn't mean
it
anything.
shows
Doesn't
School
mean
Street too.
Well, no, I'm not showing School Street as the, see, I'm seeing where the property lines are. See, the backs don't go, the,
Yeah, but that's not always 100% accurate. You can't
No,
just go
it's
by
true.
that, but, I mean, do we have it listed, do we have it listed on our town highway or our maps, like our roads?
Do we get,
I believe we do.
Do we get, we won't get
State
state
funding.
aid probably. Well, no, it
it
would
would be on
yeah,
there,
it would be on
because
that
the
map.
old, Road to the Rec Club was
Right.
on there.
Mhm. I mean, if it's on our town highway maps, you know, as a town map, I don't think you have to worry about it. If it's not, then we might have to do some title work.
Okay.
Listed as a class 3.
Okay, so, yeah, I think we're probably good.
Okay, add it to Bristol East. All right, next one is Lawson Lane. Let's go.
No, I'm telling you,
What?
no. It's over by the dump.
The question
Isn't that
is,
where isn't that where I am?
the question,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yeah.
is now that it's built to specifications and it's technically a distribution line, should it be turned over to the town once they're finished paying for it? Because they had to move it because it was out of compliance with their permits. They had to finish the work the developer didn't do.
I'm well aware of why they had to move it.
Yeah, so the question for you guys as the
Might have
water
been the
commission is,
driving force.
I was the creator of that problem.
yeah, yeah, should that
Oh, yeah.
become a town, a water
I-
department owned distribution line in the future, so that it would be replaced 100 years from now by the water department?
Well, we'll see if you ever get it paid.
It's being paid. Yeah, it's 2023 copper, and we have the 3 current owners are paying for it. And then, yeah, we're just looking to sort of the long term.
I would say once it's paid for, that we take it over.
Okay.
Otherwise,
What's that? What's
That goes
that?
private, Lawson Lane's
Lawson's Lane is not they would all have to give an easement to the town.
Yeah.
Well,
we have
no,
one.
the
We have
curb,
one.
the curb stops are at the end, right?
Yeah,
No.
they had to give us an easement for us to put it in, I believe.
I thought the curb stops an hour
We
down
didn't,
at their
they
properties.
hired them kind of on their own, and we paid for it and them to pay us back, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
But our ordinance says that we own to the curb stop.
But where are the curb stops are all on the end?
No, they're not on
Are they-
Pine.
They're not on
It's a
Pine.
2-inch line goes out through, and the curb stops
It's already each house?
go to each house.
There may be a 2-inch main shut off, like it might
Yeah,
develop.
There is.
Yeah.
and then each house has its individual curb box.
Okay, so if it's a private, then if we already have an easement, then that's not a problem. It'd
We
be
check on
similar
it.
to what we had,
With Joel's and my parents.
right, but we'd have to get them to execute that
Okay,
Cause I don't know what I don't know what happened, with the easement, but
yeah,
we'd
we
have
can
to
check
do
the
an easement
documents.
like we had,
I don't,
if we're gonna take it over.
yeah, and I don't wanna do that until it's paid for.
Right,
Yep,
definitely not do
understood.
anything until it's paid for.
I've got that in here. Okay,
Steve,
Francis, yes?
Steve, hold on. Steve, just for your map to make it a little more correct is see the 3 lots that say 8-inch PVC and they border that where,
Yep.
It's all part of the same development.
yeah, where, I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing it, where your lot, Michelle.
Yeah,
There's 2 shut-offs there. You should draw your red line to that first lot off from Liberty Street.
I'm
you
sorry.
mean over
Right in
over
there.
at Carolyn's?
No, right there, right.
Oh, yeah. Those were,
Those are the ones that go out back.
Yeah, they're
No,
all,
there's one there, isn't there?
it's right in the flower bed.
No, Deb's is right here,
all
Yeah.
three
And then
went,
the
all
three
three went
were
right
right
up the
there.
line.
right there.
Okay,
Right.
because there's 3 there.
Yeah.
I figured you'd leave one there when they want to develop where that garage is.
Well, we're not
No,
touching
that'll be a separate,
There's 3 that aren't, yeah. You're right,
that
Joey.
water line for our old lot was supposed to come from the Liberty Street.
Right. But why, if you're tied into that 8-inch main, why would you pull out one of them? Because
That main is not coming out.
No, I think he's talking about the 3 shut-offs for the ones in
You
back.
don't
Why
believe
not,
they're
why
com-
not leave one of them?
Jill plans
that
on
they
taking
can-
them out.
Oh, okay.
Right, Jill, you plan on taking those 3 out.
I was going to, but if I should probably talk to the people that own that lot and ask them if they want to retain that one curb, one of the 3 curbs, because we wanted to cap the curbs or cap the corporations in the road, because that road, Eric wants to repave that in the coming years. That is not part of the Bristol West project, and we don't want to try to shut them after it's paved.
Jill, okay, you will probably have a problem with that because the shut-offs are on Deb's property and not their lot.
Okay,
So-
should I just get rid of them?
They're
'Cause
closer under that tree.
Eric
Yeah,
asked
there's
me to
gotta
get
be,
them.
there's gotta be one to that lot because there was a trailer there, so
Right.
there's already one there.
I wonder if there's one that's like in a mystery spot and not in the lilies.
Well, where that
current
garage
garage
is
is.
now, there used to be a trailer.
There used to be, but they dug up the septic system, so that's why I had to do a whole new septic design. So I don't know where the water line is.
But the water, they didn't dig the street up, so the
No.
water, there's still a water line,
I could show you where that trailer was, Jill, if you get with me
Okay,
sometime.
yeah, I'll try if there's, I might not be able to douse it if it's empty, but, if we're gonna
If you douse it, look just to where you go to into that garage, that driveway, look just to the south of that driveway, look in that area.
Okay, a little bit to the left.
Jill,
the other
The other
south.
way, the other south there, Ian.
No. I was gonna say south is, yeah.
That trailer sat on that property line.
Right in there, yes.
That trailer sat on that property line.
Okay,
Right. And only the services that you're seeing are only ones that Jill's already located for us, right? So obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's zip over to Francis Place.
This is the one that Francis Place has the,
so Francie's
far.
Place,
Too
Francie's
far.
Place built it to specification, but they did not
Oh,
turn it
yeah.
over to the town.
Go,
That's it, right there, you got it.
I'm learning. Okay, so the details on
that's
this.
tiny.
What'd you say, Jill?
So Francie's Place, from what I've read and what I was provided for documentation, was built to town specifications, was supposed to be turned over to the town, but was not.
Well, the
1988
owner of it now is
October.
willing to turn it over.
Okay, say that again, Peter.
The owner of it now is Kevin LaRose, and he's willing to turn it over. It's in his deed that he owns it, and he does not wanna own it.
I can understand why.
Yep.
But so we're talking, so the water line did,
Goes all the way to his.
but that's what I
all the
thought,
way-
it went all the way
yeah,
down.
it goes down to, and it actually feeds Jackman,
Yes,
Jackman's
it
of Bristol.
fuels?
Yes, it does. It does. So it feeds the first house.
And he
The
can't, Kevin
second
can't
house?
find a deed that they ever got to easement to go across his property to go to Jackman's.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably
That was
just,
a handshake.
that was a handshake between Tom and Fred.
Yeah.
So if we accept Kevin's offer of taking it over, what would we need to do? We need to look at easements.
Yeah, he would have to, well, I don't know, I'm not even sure if it wouldn't just be him, but the ones, does
No,
Kevin
I
have,
think
Kevin
the
have the
main-
very last one?
The
No,
main ends,
He has the first one.
the hydrant's on Kevin's and that's where the main ends.
And then it's all,
And then it's
and it's a
just
private
copper,
line.
copper
private
line going to
Okay.
those.
It's, that hydrant is right about, there's Kevin's house, there's his driveway right about there.
Yeah.
You can't see that, Joel.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's just,
You
it's
should
just
be here.
about opposite his house.
Yeah.
On the
Is this
far
his house
side of
right
the
here?
driveway.
Just east
Yeah,
of his
that's
driveway.
Kevin.
Okay, so over here somewhere.
So it's right in there somewhere, yeah.
Okay, cool. All
Yeah,
right.
so we would have to do, again, we'd have to do the similar easements.
Yeah.
Okay, easements.
And he'd have to quit claim the line and give us an easement.
Yeah. Yeah, he does not wanna own it. He said if something happens to it and it has to be replaced, he's got it right away all the way back to North Street. He's just gonna put in a
3/4 inch copper
line.
Okay. All right, and the last one on the list is Mount Abe. So we're gonna zip over back to that. I hear some sighs already.
Yeah, no, it's just,
All right, so the details on this one are 1960s ductile iron, multiple water lines on Mount Abe property. Waterline inventory lists these as town-owned. Town should discuss ownership/replacement responsibilities with Mount Abe, not on current replacement list. What are
Well,
people's
Airport Drive wasn't put in 1960. The water.
That was just put in.
Put in the 80s.
No, later than that.
Maybe
because
late 80s.
I did from the corner of Airport Drive to the Legion when they put the addition on.
Correct, and then
And
they
then
went,
it was a long time after that before they,
put in the rest of it?
the 6-inch going through the rec field was put in when the high school was built.
In 69, 60.
67 when they,
60s.
66 probably.
and I would say that 8-inch wasn't put in until
Till
the
late 80s, early 90s, because they wanted to loop it.
We
It
have
had to have
20
been,
here.
it had to have been after 90 because both of my girls helped me with the Legion and they wouldn't have been able, Caitlin was born in 89, so she wouldn't have been there.
Over there 90, working,
Yeah,
you didn't have
yeah.
a machine in 90?
Well, they were over there playing while I was working.
Cause I remember they put the hydrant, right, that you go in by the, there still is a hydrant in the fence line. And then they put the one right as you go into the parking lot. Scott put that in for better service.
And
But
that's
there was one
You guys are
always,
right. Yeah.
where it says 4 and 2 down there, that hydrant is the original hydrant when the school was built.
Up by the
it's
school?
not
Where
a
it says
two?
4 and 2,
Up
Yep.
by the school?
yep.
You-
And then the one
Your
where it
inventory-
says 6 inch. What's
Your inventory
Steve?
actually shows that, Joel. The first section of that, the first 1,000 feet were installed in 1996. The last from the, let's see, from Airport Drive to the baseball field. So that last 550 feet was installed in, according to your inventory, 1969. You're right, there is a section.
You
of
mean
Airport-
along just north of the parking lots, that 8 inch going to
The
that 6?
8-inch or the 6-inch?
6-inch.
The 6-inch, I think is what he's talking about.
Yeah, that was
1960.
put in the mid-60s, right? When the high school was built.
60.
Yeah, it shows the 8-inch was put in, you're correct, in 96, and all of the rest of it that's out there,
Right,
property
96.
shows 1969.
Yeah.
Well, not Airport Drive.
All right,
Just
so
that-
do,
That's what Peaker's saying.
No,
it
he
was-
said 96 is when that was. put in.
Airport.
No, he
Drive.
said the 8-inch.
Yeah.
You're right. and
Oh, the
the
whole
8
8-inch.
On
Okay, got it,
Airport
got it.
Drive.
okay,
Got it.
Jill and Steve, do you have enough information from these 4 people about how to move forward?
No,
In terms of what the lines are?
we understand, and by the way, it's a 3-inch service going into the school. It's not a 2. Because we had to fix it like 2 or 3 springs ago. It's a 3
Right.
inch.
What is wrong?
When they had $100,000 bill.
Oh, no, it was not. It was tiny. It was a little 3-inch break.
From VTOMs, it was tiny? I got you, Joe. Go ahead.
Right.
Believe it or not, other
Yep.
towns pay like $10,000 or $20,000 every time they have a contractor come in to do a water leak repair. Not from us, but from other contractors. I guess we're just asking, who owns the water line once it gets onto onto the school's property?
They
It's
is
just-
shown in your inventory, what she's trying to say, and who has responsibility. Jill, you had a water main break there last year, right?
It was their service line, so that was theirs, and it was like 2 or 3 springs ago. It was in March.
Okay.
So where
What-
is there,
yeah.
where, where currently do you shut them off?
We added a shut off per their request, right? You see where the roundabout is there? You come
Yeah.
up to the 6 on that corner
Mhm.
where the 6 comes in to go to the 4 and to the 2, right there. There's a valve, there's a 6-inch valve right there.
Okay.
There was no way to shut them off without shutting off the valve on Airport Drive. And shutting the one on Liberty. So we put a valve in for them and they paid for that. So
So basically, they own, according to our ordinance, they own everything from the shut off at the Legion and the shut off at Liberty.
I mean, technically I would say so because it's their property. And those are the right of ways.
But regardless of that, what do we want to do?
Leave it in their hands.
Okay.
Well, I think that the hydrant.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
You guys need to discuss how you're gonna maintain the hydrants and who's gonna, the school isn't gonna have the expertise to be able to do that stuff. So these are discussions you need to have.
They'll hire Jill.
This is a bargaining chip to get the water line on School Street paid for.
Right. That's actually a good point though, Peter.
Well, how is it a bargaining chip? I mean,
Well-
we're gonna get the bad end of that.
We're gonna end up owning this line, which I think we probably, at the end of the day, we probably should own that line so that we have control of it.
Which line are you talking about? The 8-inch? Or are you talking about all of
The 6
it?
and the 8, from
Yeah.
Liberty and from Airport, and from
Well,
Stony
the
Hill.
6, you have to deal with the rec club, because
There's an
there's
easement.
an easement
There is,
across
they
there.
gave them an easement.
I know they gave them an easement,
They
but
gave the
they can't,
school an easement.
Right.
but the school can't necessarily assign that to us, without the
Yeah.
rec club's permission.
So the school's got a problem.
But I guess, Steve, from a hydraulic point of view, if that 6-inch failed and you shut it off over by the horse rink, the corner of Liberty and West Pleasant, and you shut that 6-inch off, is there enough water in that 8-inch or service that high school? So why would the school want to own that and go repair that if it broke? That's a question.
Well, there's no shut offs there.
If we had the
There's a
hydraulic
shut off.
analysis done, I
If
could
there
tell
was
you.
shut off, Jill, right there by the Liberty Street horse rink from
Yeah.
the 6-inch.
But
There's
you
one
shut that
there.
off, you still got water coming up the 8-inch going back there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, but
it feeds bidirectionally. They've got 2 feeds. They've got the Liberty feed and the Airport Drive feed. And there's only shut-offs at the intersection of Liberty and that water line, and Airport Drive and that
So
water
there's
line.
there's no
So-
shut off.
There's no shut off where the 6 and the 8 meet there.
Right,
No.
that's what I was gonna ask. So
There's only
I know that
one where the 6 to 4 is, so that
up by the
you
school.
can actually get shut off without shutting off water to like the Legion and other connections along Airport Drive, etc. It shuts off because the dual feed comes in to their
Well,
need.
So, just a curiosity, if you put a shut off at where the 6 and the 8 meet,
You'd have to put one in both places where they meet, where the
the 8 up
tee-
there and
where
this one?
both tees are,
Yeah,
you'd have
well,
to
I was
put-
just trying to figure out, how can you avoid, if for some reason something happens to that water line, can you shut that whole line off and still get water in there without it back feeding?
If you,
back feeding.
you would have to put, you'd have to put
Put
shut offs.
2 more in.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. There's definitely 2 more valves that would be needed, like he's
But
saying.
those are cheaper than replacing all that 6-inch from Liberty all the way to the school.
Right.
Precisely. It would
I'm
depend
just
where it's
thinking
broken.
future problems to avoid.
Yeah, isolation valves are key. I think that I love that they're involved, that the project has them in all the right places, and it's a bummer that past projects didn't. So there's always an opportunity to add valves in when there's an opportunity to do it. So you guys have seen it in too many places where we have to shut off a lot more than we would like to.
All right. Let's we're well over our time, so let's get it back on track. I'm going to say for this particular one, I'm going to say speak with MAUSD, Floyd and Co. About the school line, and then what do they want to do, and just sort of start a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Sound like a good way forward.
Yeah, and then we can talk about this maybe at some other point.
Okay. All right. Super.
Bring that into the conversation with School Street.
Yes. Let's see here. So we've got that, the capital improvement plan. We talked about that. The only other couple of things are one of the requests for at the state level was to improve our asset management and also our funding strategy. So it was a pretty old one that was part of our asset management solution or document. I've updated this to sort of make it sound a little bit better. Talks about the system, our current connections, the project growth. In the previous one, which is from 2018, 2016, it talked about Lover's Lane. I think we can keep that on. We can also keep on. And so it's sort of detailing like where it is. It's an 18.8 acre parcel. We sold in 2018. Construction timeline dependent on market conditions. We're demonstrating that people are going to be joining onto the water system, hopefully increasing our numbers. And we also have the Stony Hill Business Park, and that went in our previous strategy that was in there is like, this is going to happen. That has happened now. So we've got Firehouse Apartments, and then we've got All Earth Renewables, and there's potentially other buildings going in there as well. What we've got here in terms of our strategic capital planning was equipment upgrades using our annual allocations, emergency repairs, and our major construction projects. Initially it was Pine Street was way out. It was another 10 years. We've revised 6 to 7 year cycle for comprehensive infrastructure replacement because we knew that we would just never be able to get to these lines if we didn't start sooner. And then we're demonstrating our funding strategy. So we've got our capital fund accumulation. We've got our DWSRF planning loans, which we've used extensively throughout this projects. We're moving towards our construction loans for phase 2 and hopefully phase 3 and 4, grant financing, congressionally directed spending, and then obviously trying to get our loan forgiveness optimization, try to get as much as we can, or get that number down as much as we can. So that's going to go to the state hopefully this week, if I can get my act together here, and update them. And then the last piece for water, I know we're sort of over our time by quite a lot, is the previous what we talked about. This was for the private lines. This is for replacement of private lines. So Jill and Steve and I had a discussion about this, and Jill has previously talked about this in this meeting about we're 100% eligible for 50% forgiveness. And the average cost to replace a service line is around 10,000. We think if it's done privately, we can have it be about 5,000. So we've come to the conclusion, and we're presenting it now, is that we do not go after any of the money that's available at the state level, the lead line money, to do these replacements. It does not make sense to incur all the construction, the engineering costs and things like that. Also, the biggest part of this is then the liability. The entire liability, if the town pursues this with money from the state, is that it's all on us to replace these lines. It seems like a much better approach to work with homeowners, identify which ones need to be replaced, and work with them and try to find a plan and get as much help to them as possible. That might look like recommending licensed contractors to do the work, being able to give sort of an average cost of what it might be. Perhaps, as we've talked about previously, using our revolving loan fund for a low interest loan. I guess we need a little bit of update on the parameters to that if we want to do that, or potentially going after grants. Maybe we get earmark for the waterline construction project, and we get an Northern Borders grant of 500,000 or so to help with service line replacement. But that's where we're at the moment. Just thinking like we cannot see a way to have it be affordable by using the state money at 50% forgiveness, because it's double the cost of what it would be to do it privately.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. And as Jill has said, like, we talked to them and we're like, we would love to be able to do this. Like, if you did it at 100%, even less than that, we would jump on this, but it just does not make sense because of all the extra things that you have to do that bump the price up, which is such a shame.
Yeah.
Jill, Steve, anything else to add in this very long wrap up of what's going on with the water and sewer district?
No, just know that I probably hurt even more than you guys do, because I'm just so disappointed in all of it not being made more affordable and not having more of a subsidy and grant.
Yeah.
Since until we spend so much that it's just horribly painful. So if I hear of any other funding sources come about, or any other anything that's not this kind of like lead in and then crush, I will let you guys know, but so far it's all been too good to be true and just loans. At least the interest rates are lower than the rest of the market, but they're
Right.
so far they're loans.
Yeah. And
But if
they're
it
big.
costs twice as much to do the project, having less
Yes.
interest
Hopeful.
isn't in our best interest.
Right. But we have to be pragmatic about this and sort of put numbers out there that we think we can get, and not try to tweak those numbers to make them lower. We want to be able to have those numbers out there that are as accurate as possible, and anything on top of that, another $500,000 grant, things like that, is just a great boost for us as we move forward over the next 6 years. Anything else, Steve?
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Good night.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Regular
Alright.
business. Review and approval of past meeting minutes.
Just the May 12th, right, Ian?
Correct.
I make a motion to approve the May 12th, 2025 meeting minutes with the few corrections I had.
It's already done.
Further discussion?
That's all we have, or still got some way backs?
I can go back further than 2007 if you want me to.
We got some
We have some that old?
Yes.
that haven't been approved?
That was before Valerie's time. There's a few that are there. We'd have to go. But essentially, as far as I'm aware, and looking at all the minutes, we have all of them since Valerie started. That was the big amount, was just, we just weren't able to catch up with the previous administrator just because of time and things like that. So we're all caught up there. I do see some ones that I just need to double check and make sure that I can dig out and find them.
Okay.
I prefer not to go into the vault and go back to the 1800s, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Authorized warrant and any liquor or tobacco license.
The warrant is $89,225.83.
Second. No, we don't.
Any
She
liquor,
said no.
liquor,
She shook her head at this.
okay. All right, select board roundtable. Joel.
Just because of time, fire panel, was insurance claim at the fire department, would they get hit by lightning or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power surge.
And then, I won't, just Briggs Hill, I think we ought to revisit you guys. I stopped up there again at the bottom there where they wrote on the brick, the big blocks, and looked up there, and then I went down the river and looked up there, and I'm going, we did down the river a longer spot than that, and I just think we ought to relook at it. And that's all I got.
Michelle?
I was gonna ask about Lawson Lane. Have we gotten any movement on payment for that?
I think we've gotten
We've received some.
We've
Some.
received some of it.
Okay.
some of it, but not.
Are we doing a road trip this year?
Sure.
Okay, well, you'll have to work out with Eric a date
Yes.
or whatever. And are you gonna do anything with that email from the town of Lincoln, Ian?
Remind me what that was?
He was trying to basically coordinate with the different towns, and I can't.
Oh, the
I
new
can't-
guy
the
wanted
new-
to, yeah.
He was tasked with, let's see.
I think he
Kenneth
wanted-
Stockman.
He wanted to do that. He wasn't tasked with it. Well, he was tasked with it because he wanted to do it.
I'm unaware of that email. That does not ring a bell at all. Am I on that email?
Yes, you are. It's Stockman from Lincoln, and that's all I have. I'm gonna take this, sorry.
Can you send that to me, please? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
She's gotta go get a phone call.
Oh, okay.
Jessica?
Nothing from me.
Okay. Ian?
Nothing from me.
I have two things. And both of my guys here are gone, so we can decide without them. I had a discussion with Bruce about the going townwide and what we needed to do to get started, and I think we need to get started sooner rather than later because the year is gonna be up, and we were tasked with having this for next town meeting.
Peter,
Yes.
on that, so we have an intern who is, that Jessica found us, who is actually, we're meeting with Bruce this week. He's doing data collection and putting together whatever data Bruce needs so we can get some true data analysis out of it.
Okay, so
I think you asked that in
this is where I'm headed. In my conversation with Bruce, Bruce needs from us the data that we want. Because he said he can supply data on just about anything, but there's no sense in him supplying data that we don't need. And it also doesn't feel that it's not the police department's job to sell this, it's the board's job to sell this, because he doesn't want it to look like he's looking for more territory, because that's not the case.
I guess one of the things I would like in the study done, and Jessica, you can chime in here because it's an interim from the college, is if we could find out from the state police log, how many calls were generated and how many were responded. You know, if there were 500 calls and we responded to 200.
I think all that information's in
Okay.
Stillman, I believe. I was gonna ask Bruce that question and I didn't.
You know, how many of them were actually, somebody knocked on the door and said you called the police, state police? And or how many, we sent you a form and you filled it out and.
How many calls had physical response?
Right, that's what I'd like to.
The one thing that, because the state police is an agency that Bruce works with a lot, the one thing he does not wanna do is anything that's gonna make them look bad. So, you know.
I agree.
We're gonna wanna be careful about how we word the question or how we present the answer, as far as, calls responded to, or the nature of calls, maybe it's the nature of calls.
I think that would be.
But that's something that, like I said, we had the conversation, and I think we need to get started on sooner rather than later, cause the year's gonna be up. And
we're not. Say we're not
prepared, and.
Did you guys get an email from David Sharp about 3 weeks ago? About that question?
Yep.
Should that be answered? That's a good, I thought it was a good question, something about, if we take over the state police territory, then they don't respond to anything. And I don't know that question.
They won't respond, we'll be first responding agency, and then like the shootings here in the village where they'll come in and assist for anything that's over our head, and that's.
That might be.
I guess basically that's the role that VSP wants to play anyway. They don't wanna be the lead on it.
I mean, why I read that, because I was reading the state police log this Thursday's Addison, and it said, state police stopped a DWI on Elm Street in Middlebury. And I do see them occasionally, blue light going, you know, state police in the town of Middlebury. So, you know, they do. They see a violation, they're patrolling, right.
They're still patrol the highways.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that, we need to get that figured out, and if this intern's coming, that'll be great. And we can,
I mean,
we just need to have them get the information that we want, not just get. We should point them in the right direction. We don't need a bunch of useless data that just for the sake of having data. It should be data that says what we want or explains what we're trying to gain. And then the other question I had, where did the money come from for the car for the resource officer?
ARPA.
That was ARPA funds. That, and I haven't spoke to Bruce about this, but that should be insured through the general fund, and it should be, fueled and repaired through the general fund. Because that position is not a police position.
And we have a line item in the budget now for a vehicle, that's where it falls currently.
Okay.
And that's where anything should go in that. You may fall short next year because we hadn't fully, I don't know what next year's budget numbers are off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I was just thinking about it.
All the expenses of that position.
All the expenses of that position are town borne, not police not police district borne.
Right.
So as long as we're aware of that.
Yep.
Okay, and that's all I have. Administrators report.
Most of the stuff is stuff that we've talked about this evening, the last couple of weeks. I'd like to thank Peaker and Eric and the rest of the Public Works crew for responding very quickly to our landslide on West Street about, was that a week ago or a week and a half ago?
2 weeks.
2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago yesterday.
I'd like to thank you for your time for
Yeah,
that.
2 weeks ago
That was quite a shock for that to happen, but there's an awful lot of rock down there now, so it doesn't look like it's going to happen again.
Hopefully not.
Don't hold your breath.
Ian, on that subject, are we going to submit the paperwork or the billing for that to the Agency of Transportation, because it's
So
on
we
16?
had to wait for the okay from them to start, but they said, don't hold your breath for any funding.
Yeah, it didn't really meet a threshold.
Yeah.
Didn't cost enough.
You
Oh, we
saying-
can make
you're
that
saying
happen.
I didn't charge enough? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so thank you for that. I've been working, obviously, the water. I've been working with the town administrator position, filling that role. We obviously had our interviews a couple weeks ago, and doing a lot of other different things that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Maybe it's time to, from this board, not as a board position, but this resident Bristol, maybe we write the state of Vermont and tell them, oh, by the way, in the winter of 27, 28, you're gonna take over 116 plowing and sanding and salting it, and no more we are. And we don't plow from Stony Hill to East Street anymore, from Lord's Prayer Rock. They plow through Heinsberg, they plow through Starksboro,
Plow through
Yeah,
Virginia.
but
Virgins,
the
Village Fathers years ago.
Yes,
But we abolished the village, so maybe that can be abolished. They
maybe-
plow right through the city, the town of,
Do they plow?
Heinsberg.
Do they plow 7 in Millbury?
no, they dropped the plow at the top of the hill and, no,
No, top of the hill where?
they do plow
On
from,
North Pleasant?
when they go south out of Creek Road, they drop the plow, but I don't know if they do through Court Street. I don't know, I could ask those guys.
Another thing for the road crew, I'd like to shout out to Colby. Colby was going up to Queen Bee's to get supper on Memorial Day Sunday and hit a pothole that he felt was a danger to the public, and at 8 o'clock at night, him and Eric were out there filling that pothole.
Good
So,
for him.
I mean, it's nice to see a young person in a position take the initiative to call his supervisor and take care of a problem on the weekend without having to be hounded. But he was just afraid that somebody was gonna get hurt. That's how big the pothole was, so.
That's great. Thank you, Colby.
Yeah. Anything else, Ian?
Nope.
Other business?
We have our, Sharon's provided our general budget reports. I don't know if Chris or Sharon want to speak to that. We had a few questions come from Michelle. I don't know if you want to take the time now to look at those. And we also had
No.
okay,
They
general
said
fund.
they're
we had-
looking, they're working on my questions.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
Well, my goal is by next meeting in a week, is we'll just give you a report on your questions and what changes and what we
Yeah,
found.
no, that's
Found
fine.
for you.
I look at them and say, okay, if I have questions, either you don't know or somebody else has the same questions.
No, I think that's the right way to do it. It's obviously, it's a long document to go through in a meeting. And so I think having the questions is very helpful.
All right, any correspondence reports or anything else?
Nope.
Executive session?
Yes, executive session for the 5 of us.
Okay, the 5, 2, 4.
The 3 of us,
Oh,
Jessica
yeah.
and.
I'll make a motion, we enter into executive session to discuss personal matters per 1 VSA section 313.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sharon. Hopefully I'll be back.
Good night, you
at some
too.
point.
Waiting on a second.
Second, sorry.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We are in executive session.
Wait, you gotta get
In
Jimmy.
China
Jimmy's
and
gotta-
in Bristol.
Jimmy's got it. Good night, Jimmy.
Good night, Jimmy.